Hello, everybody. We're going to get going now. Obviously, there's a lot of public interest tonight on two different things. So I'll just give you a little, we've got some people here to talk about the skate parks and young folk. So what I'm going to do with public participation, which normally happens right at the start, I'm going to give the skate people the chance to talk. We will then deal with that. I will then play fast and loose with the public participation rules. Anybody that wants to talk about Lord's Court, I will move that to just before we get to that decision. So everything you say to us is relevant. So what's going to happen is I read out a civility and respect pledge that we do right off the bat. I'm then going to open the floor to anybody that wants to talk skate park. Okay? Let them have their chance. We've then got a little bit of political housekeeping that we have to run through on an agenda. They can leave, it's not relevant to you. Then when we get to Lord's Court, I will open the floor up. My intention is to give an hour so that all of you, hopefully, that want to speak, get the chance to speak. And then I'll have to bring it in to the people around this table and we will try to make the decision. Well, we're going to make a decision. So we will then need the floor. We will then need quiet so that we can hear each other. Hopefully you will all be able to hear us as well. And that is that. So with that in mind, I will read out the civility and respect pledge, which we read every time. Civility and respect should be part of public life, and good governance is fundamental to ensuring an effective and well-functioning democracy at all levels. The intimidation, abuse, bullying and harassment of councillors, clerks, council staff in person, online is unacceptable, whether by councillors, clerks, council staff or members of the public. This applies to us talking to you as well. Okay, it's a two-way street. Any person adjudged by the chair of the meeting, me, to have breached this rule may be asked to apologise, withdraw their statement and or leave the meeting depending on the severity of what they've said and whether they stop when requested. Okay, I hope we can all agree with that. We want to have a sensible discussion tonight. I understand that there are emotive issues to be discussed. So with that in mind, skate park people are up. I know there's a big audience that you weren't expecting. Don't be shy, little folks. Just step up and say what you got to say.
I have a statement from the steering group, and then do you want to ask questions?
Pretty much the floor is yours. It's public participation. So if you want to introduce it and they then want to stand up, it's for us to listen to you. Okay? Yeah.
We've got a statement that's from the user group. Hello.
Yeah.
So we've got a statement, but not all of the user group could be here tonight. Unfortunately, it's the sixth form parents' evening, so a lot of the teachers and a lot of those teenagers are tied up at school. It's also the first night of Surf Life Saving starting, so all the kids are in the pool at Splash, and that's where we dash off straight afterwards. I was a bit older. So, in a nutshell, Bude has always been on the map for board sports. Surfing and skating complement each other very well. When there are no waves, our local champion surfers are skating. As many of you will know, Bude is steeped in surf and skate history. From the early days of the internationally recognised downhill skate competition to now being home to Team GB athletes in both disciplines. In the under-12s alone, we have, very proudly, he's going to hate me, my son, Isaac has just been signed on the Team GB training pathway. We also have Betsy, who is the current under-12 European surf champion, and we've also got Coco and maybe Coco down there, who is also on the under-16s? Under-16s, yeah. So the skate park is a very popular place. Most of the children in Bude have learned to ride their bikes there. There is rarely a time when it's empty. It's a welcoming environment where the bigger kids help and encourage the little kids. Scooters, roller skates and skateboards weave amongst each other, all enjoying their chosen discipline. But our skate park is not only dangerous, it's fallen far behind many local smaller towns' offerings, and the opportunities for the youth are hugely affected. As a mum, I'm driving hours weekly to get to skate parks that have a better offering. The older kids and teenagers who are very let down by the length of time that this project has taken, and so very sad that the amazing park that was agreed has had to be axed. The developer, Canvas, commented 2 years ago that our public consultation was the best they had ever had, with so much community engagement. We had over 100 people attend, and they all played a huge part in designing the park for all users, all ages: skateboarders, bikes, roller skates, scooters, and wheelchair users. The new phase one of this developing this existing park has the same input: all ages, all abilities, all disciplines, making this design the best it can be. I think it's really important to remember that this space is more than just a skate park. It's a welcoming, inclusive social space where we see daily posts of thanks on Facebook groups for the teenagers encouraging the younger ones to try a trick, not give up, where they actively step in to give advice without prompting. This was Isaac's experience as a 6-year-old, and those role models have shaped his outlook in his early formative years. And perhaps as important, it's a space for children and adults to be active together. There are many families, some here tonight, that use the park together regularly. I can't tell you how many of our user group, old and young, can't wait to access a safe and usable park in Bude again, and the opportunities this will bring. I think we've all got a copy that I printed out of the previous planning application. So we had or maybe you're getting them now. So we had 66 comments received on the previous planning application, 66 supporting, none objecting. And they all range from older people, young families, teenagers. Every single one of them says very much the same thing. We need the park redeveloping. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anybody else want to say anything? Right. Is there any of the young folk that want to say anything? I know it's a little intimidating and we don't normally have this crowd, but now's your chance. I'll count you as young. You look younger than me. I'll put my glasses on so I can actually see.
Hello. So I've been going to the park since I was 10 years old. It was the first introduction I had to Bude Town, moving down here. It was my introduction to socialising. It was me falling over, getting back up. Every friend I still have in Bude, I met at the skate park. And for the last, God knows how long, me and Jago, one of the other local boys, talked about what we would do with the park, given the opportunity. If you spend 20 years in a place, you start going off into dreamland about what you would do with it. When we finally got the opportunity to help design somewhere, that was like a dream come true. That was a long time ago now. It's been a long process with a lot of resistance and a lot of hurdles that we've come up against. And it feels like there are a lot of people in this town, whether it be young people now, 10, 5, whatever, or the elders like myself that are still going down there, helping coach the younger kids, help bring them up, help encourage them when they fall off, or the parents of skaters who are still going down there, maybe skating or maybe just encouraging others. There's a lot of energy put into that place, a lot of hope put into that place, which is, for whatever reason, not coming to fruition and not going into a new age when so many skate parks and communities around the country have taken that step. So I'm not involved enough to understand the ins and outs and the nuances of why it's not happening. I can't understand how it couldn't be something people would get behind and support. If you went around the town and got everyone to put their hand up or down, depending on whether they wanted to support skateboarding in the local community, I think it would be a resounding majority towards supporting it. We're a surfing and skating town. That's what this place is about. That's why people come here on holiday. They like going and standing around the walls and watching when people are skating. It's part of the experience. If you don't encourage that, you're left with nothing but, subways, B&Ms.
I agree entirely with both comments. I could go into a detailed answer about all the problems we faced. It's not a lack of commitment here. It's biodiversity, net gain, flowers that grow in places where we wanted to put concrete. And it's a long answer. We are now where we are. Depending on how a vote goes very soon, we will be putting in a smallish planning app that hopefully addresses all of the previous planning issues. We will fair wind, get planning permission, and you will have a new park, or a fully redeveloped park down there. Right, is there anybody else who wants to talk on that? Go for it.
So when we talked about existing, I asked Isaac a question, and he answered it really well, and I wondered if I could ask you the same question.
Or shout like I.
So I was just saying that when we spoke about it in committee, I asked Isaac a question and he answered it really well, and I wondered if he would answer the same question here today for everyone to hear. And that question was, what would having this new improved skate park do to improve your life and the life of other young people like you?
Yeah, the new park, it's so good, already so much better than the old one, as the old one is getting to the point of dangerous. And it's, like my mum said, sometimes we're driving hours a week to find a skate park with a better offering for the skate park, and it's becoming quite ridiculous, and I think something should be done about it.
Hi there. With a future skater on my knee, but also with an economic hat on, I haven't seen any consideration for the positive economic impact of skate park would have on you as a town. I'm sure there's loads of people that drive straight past you to go to Camelford, Weybridge, Newquay to skate. Families spending money in those towns when they could be spending it for you.
Yeah. I agree. Councillor Gibbs.
Stand up. No, sorry, I won't need it. I'll just shout. It's a question again, really, just a clarification. So when you say that you're travelling hours, so can you explain where? Because as you say, you're now on the GB training regime now for that, and that's obviously as a consequence of the practice that you've been able to do probably elsewhere. So where is it that you have to go at the moment? Yeah.
So Tuesday nights we drive to Truro every Tuesday. We, after school, when it gets darker, we have to go to indoor skate park, so that's Truro, Falmouth and Plymouth. So when it's not really dark after school, we're Camelford, we are Hatherley, Oakhampton. We go everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes even Holsworthy, across the border. Sometimes. It's a huge amount of travel. But the difference it would make for the kids, they're meeting in the skate park after school, and they're reluctant to skate. So realistically, if they could finish school, go down the hill, and skate, that would be better. I mean, it's a skate park, and it's places that kids can hang out, but also they can hang out and be active, which I'm a little bit more encouraging of than just hanging out.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Right.
So I just wanted to add from a youth provision sort of point of view. So I'm Bryony, and I'm one of the directors of Cognition Learning. So I'm really, really invested in the kids in Bude, and working really hard to make sure that children in Bude have equal access to opportunities and equal access to facilities and chances that children in the rest of the country have. I think the council's made some brilliant moves over the last few years. The redevelopment of the Ben Cooley's play park has been absolutely brilliant. It looks great. It's fantastic for imaginative play. It's really helping children with their development. And I just wanted to say thank you for starting this investment in provision for our youth. And I think we can all agree that there is still quite a long way to go. Where do we go after the play park? How do we keep children occupied, actively engaged, and still playful? It's really important that kids get a chance to be kids, and that they can play, and they're not stuck inside, and they're not left to their own devices too much, and they have safe spaces in which to socialise. And I attest, just like everyone else, that the skate park is the most friendly and welcoming place. My son dropped in off the half pipe for the first time this week. He was yes, I know! And everyone in the skate park did just that. They all cheered and they all supported him. This is a real asset for the town. And, if we keep going on this trajectory, we're really set to really make a fantastic place for our young people to grow up in. And for people like me who moved back to Bude to raise my family, to create a fantastic place to draw young people back with skills, with excitement, with energy to keep the town going and to really revitalise us all. So, yeah, thank you ever so much for starting on such a positive platform.
Right, if there's no more comments on that, we're going to whittle through some housekeeping and then we'll get you a decision. Take these off so I can read. So, to receive apologies and accept the reasons for any non-attendance.
Just Councillor Rogers is not well, and fortunately everybody else has been able to attend.
Okay. Cool. To receive any declarations of interest on items on the agenda and agree any dispensations. No hands. To receive the Mayor's report, you aren't here to listen to me. We want to get to the decision. To note any reports from Cornwall councillors. They appear to be following.
Well,
You want to say something? Yeah? Off you go then.
so those of you that haven't been to a Bude-Stratton Town Council meeting before, the usual procedure is to allow just a few minutes for the Cornwall councillors to say a few words about what's going on Cornwall council-wise in the area. So I've got a very short list of things that I want to go through just to give some sense of reassurance to what I'm doing and what's happening in Bude. There has been on social media reports that there is a hole appeared in the breakwater. This is something that has happened. It happened last year and it was repaired. I'm getting concerned now that we're repairing the breakwater far too often and we don't have a full engineering survey of the structure. So I'm pushing hard for Cornwall Council and the Environment Agency to work together to have a full in-depth survey of the structure to make sure that we know actually what's going to be needed to keep the structure protecting Bude from the sea going into the future, rather than repairing it on an ad hoc basis. So there might be some significant investment in future years coming forward on that. I want to bring attention to the Youth Council at Cornwall Council. So Cornwall Council has a fully functioning council for the youth. Historically, Bude-Stratton have struggled to find somebody to put forward, and I really hope that this will come through the schools and that you'll see the options and the opportunities for young people to put themselves forward as councillors. It's really important that we do listen to the youth, and I want to give absolute assurance that Cornwall Council take the views of young people very strongly. I can use the microphone. Can everyone hear me? Right, okay, so I'm going to move on to Communities Highways Improvement Plan. There's a relatively small amount of money given to the community area network, and that covers from Bude all the way down to Camelford. And the idea is that the community area network can put forward small schemes for road improvements, and that scheme is now open. So anybody that has got an eye for a crossing or a road improvement, these are relatively small scale improvements rather than junction relayouts, which cost hundreds of thousands of pounds. There is opportunities to put those ideas forward. So at the moment, I've got a pedestrian crossing on Holnacott Road, linking the Pathfields route up towards the primary school, as I've been asked for very regularly. And I've also been asked for a crossing just uphill on Stratton Road from the position I describe as Esso Corner. But if anybody else has any ideas, they're very welcome to put them forward to the community area network. If anybody doesn't know what that is, then they can see me afterwards. 2 council meetings ago, we were asked about speeding issues on Coast View. I'm pleased to see that we've got 2 signs up with 30 mile an hour, they call them repeaters, but 30 mile an hour warnings, which have come up very recently. I asked the Highways Network Manager this afternoon about the radar monitoring, which is now escalating as a priority issue. And you'll see that on agenda item number 12, this council could take on the management of some speed advisor signs. These are the things that flash up 30 miles an hour if you're doing speed in excess of that. There's also an issue with the Cliff Hotel. There was a planning application made and approved on November 24. That application required them to deliver 30% affordable housing. That is 7 of those dwellings had to be at affordable rates. That's 8% or below of market rate. the developers have put in a patient viability test to reduce the number of affordables. And I'm going to urge our planning committee to resist that most strongly, and I'll be advising them appropriately, because that's way off what the original application was required to do. I also had a chat this afternoon with our sector inspector of the police, and there are two issues which he was quite keen for me to put forward. In very late October, that is, I think it was 3 weekends ago, there was a very large hit on the shops in Bude. There was a van came up from a nearby city, and there was a number of professional shoplifters who hit Bude very badly. The shopkeepers got together. They did a very good job on putting all of their CCTV together and making a case to the police, and they actually found the address of the people due to tracing the business number and details on the van that they were imbued with. It turns out that this is actually linked, or was linked, to organised crime. Arrests have been made, the investigation is ongoing, and there are further arrests imminent. But the most surprising thing to me was the largest single ticket item that was stolen was a very pricey electric bicycle, which was valued at £2,800, stolen from Bude. Also today, an individual called Dylan Cathray was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He was a resident of Bude. He was guilty of some horrific offences, including rape, suffocation, witness intimidation, and our sector inspector, Greg Hodgkiss, feels that Bude is a much safer place without his presence in our community. So thank you for that.
Thanks, Peter. Did you want to go? Anna? Cool. To know any reports from committee chairs and representatives on outside bodies.
Yeah, whichever. Yeah, would your
No, mine's not on. I don't need one.
Sorry. I don't have anything to say about planning, but with your indulgence, I'd like to just briefly mention something very close to my heart, if that's okay, which is the Hill Valley Trail. And there is a reason why I'm mentioning it here, is because I can see several people who played a big part in bringing that project to fruition, including the young budding skate park user over here, played his part, but the financial contributions obviously were fantastic, and we have reached our target. In fact, we've exceeded our target. So I want to say thank you to everybody here who contributed. Thank you very much. Before I continue, I want to say a thank you to Councillor Broy as well, because I wasn't aware that he made strenuous efforts to extract some money out of Cornwall Council for the project. Even though the efforts were unsuccessful, thank you very much for your efforts. I didn't actually know about it until the Freedom of Information request, but there we go. We won't go into that here. So again, thank you very much to everybody who made that project possible. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Right, we'll deal with the minutes now. So, full council to approve the minutes of the previous meeting on the 2nd of October 2025.
I propose that we do.
I'll second that. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Yeah, I'll sign that in a bit. Corporate and Planning Committee, 15th of October 2025. I'll second it. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Corporate and Democratic Committee, 16th of October 2025. Seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Culture and Heritage Committee, 30th of October 2025. Seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Okay. So now the one you guys are interested in. C&D 097/25 to resolve to recommend to full council option 3 as presented, that a phased approach to a new wheeled sports facility be adopted. One, a short-term redevelopment of the existing footprint to deliver immediate improvements. And phase two, longer-term exploration of an alternative site for potential expansion. So obviously, we all know this one is very close to my heart. I've been working on it for 5 years, along with Genevieve and a few other people. I have printed off some emailed statements from other members of the community that couldn't be here, so if anybody wants to look at them, they are all supportive. For me, this is an absolute no-brainer. We've heard from the people, we did the massive consultation. Investment in our youth is vital in this town, especially when it's something that's free at the point of use. They can just go along. It doesn't matter if you're rich, poor, or whatever. It's there. Go, use it, have fun. So for me, this is a no-brainer. I'm going to propose that we accept this. I will now open. Anybody want to say anything?
I'd just like to say, really, in response to what you were talking about, and if anybody didn't know already, youth provision in this town is appalling, generally. There's very, very little to do for the youth of this town. Now, we as a council have an ideal opportunity here to do something about that immediately. There's so many other things that we could do, but this is a thing we've been batting around now for 10 years, you know, for one reason or another, and it's not been straightforward. It hasn't. We all thought it'd be relatively straightforward, and it just isn't. But we're now presented with an opportunity to do something about it. And it would be foolish of us not to take that opportunity and do it. You know, I've had various conversations this week with another councillor, with the police and other organisations telling us about what the problems are that are caused by the lack of youth facilities locally. And this is a great opportunity to do something about that. But I would argue again, as you've just said, it should be just the beginning of something and not the end of it. And we need to take it as an opportunity to see that we can do something positive and then see what we can do in the future beyond that. It's absolutely critical that we do. Thanks.
Thanks, Danny. Anyone else?
Just I'd like to object to some of the statements that my learned colleague has just said, because Bude is a wonderful place if you take part in the open air activities, which are free and abound.
Okay. I'm not going to referee that fight. Right. We got a proposal. It's seconded. Everybody understands what we're voting on. Okay. All in favour? Against? Abstain? There you go. Well done. Right. As exciting as the rest of this is going to be, I will now pause for the young folk to leave if they so wish.
Do we do one and two together?
Well done, guys. Thanks for coming in.
I thought you were leaving.
Right, if anybody wants to shuffle forwards, you can. If not, we're going to get back going. Cheers, Steve. Thanks for coming in. Are we okay over there? Yeah, okay. Right, to approve the finance reports. These are the wrong way round, so we'll go schedule of payments. Who typed this? Schedule of payments made between the 17th of October 25 and the 6th of November 2025.
Those who accept those?
I second that. All in favour? Okay, good. Against? Abstain? No. Schedule of payments to be made on the 7th of November 2025. All right, seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstain? To note the Q2 budget report. Seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstain? To agree the movement of reserves.
Propose agree.
Seconded. All in favour? Against? Abstain? To agree for Bude-Stratton Town Council to work with Cornwall Council and Cormac officers to deploy speed advisor displays on the A3072 Station Road. Stratton Road. This is why I brought my glasses. Do you want to say anything on this, Peter? It's kind of your baby.
Yeah, well, this is the result. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is the result of a petition made to the council, I think 3 meetings ago, where a gentleman from Coastview attended and was very concerned about speeding on Coastview. And we agreed to take away a set of actions. And one of the actions was to talk about the possibility of asking Cornwall Council to deploy speed advisor signs. These are the things that flash up that I mentioned earlier, 30 miles an hour if you're going more than 30 miles an hour. It turns out that Cornwall Council have got some of these stored, but they're not able to deploy them themselves. So the request from Cornwall Council was that if they put the poles up that these things can be mounted on, that the town council works with its own employees to deploy the signs, which are powered by batteries, and to change the batteries when required and to move them to various different locations. And it's all in the papers that have been circulated to councillors. There's no physical cost to it. It just means some redeployment of man, time and hours. I'm hoping it's going to be what the Mayor would probably refer to as a no-brainer. So therefore, I'm very happy to propose the item as it is on the agenda.
It is a no-brainer. Seconded. Right. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Okay. To agree an extension to agreement for room 4 Parkhouse Centre.
Yeah, so there's paper which explains this. The cash for access people who are running the banking hub here and provide a very helpful service to residents wish to extend a bit longer because they feel they may need to before they move into their new premises. Probably won't be for all that long, but we need to officially approve that extension.
Okay. Anybody got anything on that, Lance?
I'd like to propose it. I'll second that.
Okay. All in favour? Against? Abstain? Okay. Right. Now we're going to get to your part. Although first, I've just been given a note. You would like to declare an interest?
Yeah, personal reasons.
Both of you, personal reasons for item 1415. Yeah. Okay. No, I don't need to do a vote on that. No. Okay. We'll make a note of that. Right. I'm going to make a little statement, then I'm going to give you guys the floor. Obviously, there are things we can say in public and there are things we cannot say in public when we're talking about a business deal, when we're talking about people's tenancy agreement, finances, that kind of thing. So there are confidential things that we cannot discuss in public. So if you ask us a question on that, we're just going to have to go mute, okay? If that question is endlessly asked, I'm obviously going to ask you to stop saying it. What I don't want to do is shut down your ability to talk to us and our ability to listen to you, but you just have to be aware, whether you agree with it or not, some things have a confidential nature that we are not allowed to disclose. Okay, so with that in mind, before I open it up to you, I'll just briefly introduce this. This evening, we'll be making a decision on the future of Property 1 Lord's Court in Stratton. Councillors are here to listen to the views of local residents, and we will also be carefully considering the business implications and ensuring that we're managing public money appropriately. Before we begin, I'd like to note that this meeting is being held here in the Parkhouse Centre rather than in Stratton due to technical and practical reasons. We needed a venue that could accommodate the live streaming of the meeting to ensure public access, and also one large enough to safely host what we anticipated would be a significant public attendance, which, we have here. Bude-Stratton Town Council has prepared a detailed business case to review the future of Lord's Court, which includes the Stratton Stores / Post Office and several vacant residential flats. The purpose of this review is to determine whether retaining the property as a council asset represents best value for the community and local taxpayers, or whether an alternative course of action should be taken. Since the former council purchased the property in 2023, costs have been incurred for essential maintenance and holding charges. A structural survey in 2025 identified that the building requires significant refurbishment to bring it up to modern standards and ensure safety and compliance. The business case considers a number of options, including retaining and refurbishing the property using external borrowing, securing a long-term lease with the current tenants before any potential sale, selling the property on the open market, and also exploring partnership models such as a community-led organisation taking ownership. A community consultation earlier this year showed strong public support for maintaining local access to the shop and post office, which are valued as essential community services, particularly for residents with limited mobility or access to transport. However, the council must also consider its financial responsibilities, the long-term sustainability, and whether property ownership and management of this type sits within its core functions as a local government authority at this level. The discussion and any resulting decision will aim to balance community benefit, financial prudence, and good governance, public interest. Following me talking, I'm going to give an hour for all of you lot, which will pretty much now commence. So, like I say, just please be aware, if you ask a question we can't answer, I know that might be frustrating, but we can't answer it. We would get ourselves individually and collectively into considerable trouble if we do. With that in mind, you put your hands up. Jade will come to you with a mic. The floor.
Can I just say something? I apologise to you all. I have to leave to support my dear wife in a church quiz. So if I disagree, it's not because I disagree with everything. My learned colleagues here will obviously come up with a wise decision. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
It was a bit of a statement more than a question to start with.
That's fine.
So, it was 3 years ago, and now that's been reinforced by the latest survey question. Post office in stores in Stratton is absolutely essential part of the community. Council members at the time included sort of go on council today, we think, and there was a lot of publicity at the time, did the right thing to secure it.
Yeah. Could you hold the mic a bit closer? I think.
Okay. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Council members at the time, including some on the council, did the right thing to secure it for the community. And it's unconscionable, we believe, that this vital amenity, which is a viable commercial operation used by 300 people a day, should ever be at risk of being lost to the community. The argument has been put forward, I've heard once or twice, that as it's commercially viable, that it doesn't matter if the council sells it. But that's not the case, as anyone who bought it could easily serve notice the next day on the shop at the end of it. And after an exhaustive investigation into the locations, it's clear that the Cork is currently the only place available in the town where such a community can currently be located. Obviously, councils understand, we understand councils may individually represent areas not directly impacted by what's called, but that the council obviously knows as a whole it has a duty to the whole of Bude-Stratton, and that many projects the council supports in Bude, like the skate park, which we've just seen, which seem to be the majority, those wouldn't be so viable without political and, more importantly, financial support from the preset payers in Stratton. Indeed, losing the shop in Stratton will also have negative impacts on Bude, with many more daily car journeys into Bude, increasing CO2, etc. Increased parking issues and much bigger queues at the post office. And there are 40, 50 people go to that post office every day, many parcels each. The community thought this issue had been settled a while ago, but as soon as the community became fully aware that it hadn't been, which was in July, there was immediate reaction and support shown. Indeed, after several meetings with various people, there have been many offers of help from a wide range of skills and experience amongst people at Stratton who are more than willing to provide support, help and appropriate time and resources to supplement the council's own resources to this matter. So we want to make that clear to people who, it's not just for you to do this, it's also for us to have it as well. I think there's a valid perception amongst most people in Stratton and people here in Bude, they will very much, I don't know, that they've been left behind with the only obvious activity in the town, the provision of a toilet, a Christmas tree with some lights, tending of a few flower beds from time to time, which doesn't seem to be proportionate spending of the council placing Stratton's fairly significant contribution to the council to finances. It's also understood that the council has to be sensible with its finances, but by supporting law to court, we believe the council will end up with an asset that will generate an income which should at least match any outgoings when measured over a sensible investment time period. And with the support that the community is willing to provide, a positive outcome for both Stratton and the wider area can be achieved. On the basis that 87% of respondents to the council's questionnaire supported taking steps to ensure the shop remains open, this is a great opportunity for the council to practically demonstrate that it really does have Stratton's interest at heart. And I think pretty much everyone here would, and I hope pretty much everyone here would urge the council to support an outcome which will ensure the continuation of what is a commercially viable and essential amenity for the people of Stratton and the wider community. One final thing, I also believe that pretty much everyone here would like to put on record that the people this council represents, you can see that point 15, I think it is on the agenda, the decision on North Court, which is so fundamental to the lives of so many people in Stratton, be discussed and decided in open session.
I'll just answer that. That is on there because we need it on there if we have to go into closed session. My intention and our intention is to have that discussion and that decision in public. As I've already alluded to, there are things we cannot discuss in front of you. If somebody around this table can't make a decision without asking a question that would require confidential information being, my only way around it, other than going into private session, is I suspend the meeting. All of us walk out, we get the answer, and then all of us walk back in, which is obviously very, very clumsy. But please don't ask a question. That's one way around it. The other option is obviously if we are rendered in a position where we can't have the debate without being constantly interrupted or people, we would need to move into confidential session. So again, it's that two-way thing. Ideally, we are going to get there in public. You're going to see everything and hear everything. But if there is one technical question that somebody just needs a final clarification on, I'll suspend the meeting, we'll pop out, we'll come back in. Okay, hopefully everybody is happy. It's the best we could come up with because, you know, we're balancing public interest with commercial confidentiality, and that's what we're going to do. So, Chris, have you got your hand up? I don't know. Who wants to go next?
Out of all the people here, I'd probably stand most to lose. I live in number 2 Lewis 4. You have to change the name of our building to the Garden House because so much confusion was set up the post office and the Elm Post going continually astray with flat 2, 1 Lewis 4. But what I cannot understand is that nobody from the council is involved with assessing the stability of the property. Nobody has ever even knocked on my door and asked, can they enter and look at the other half of the sport, which is exactly 1 Lewis 4. I spent myself, but my son, in excess of £80,000, rectifying all the faults that no doubt exist in number 1. £80,000, and a lot of my work and a lot of very clever technicians and builders that worked on my behalf. But we was given at our meeting, which we had in the pub, that somehow the restoration of this property is going to cost peculiar over £1 million, which I cannot understand.
Could you just tell me who told you that?
A gentleman that I stood up, very annoyed. I couldn't say who it was. Sorry.
Right.
But this is the thing. And I couldn't understand why this is happening. Of course, it's ignoring people. You know, this is just verification on someone's behalf. Who it was, I do not know.
Okay. Obviously, I don't know. Okay. Obviously, I don't know who told you that. I haven't. I've seen 2 survey reports, both offering a range, a lower range and an upper range. Is going to come somewhere in between the 2. None of them get anywhere close to the figure you quoted. So your mate from the pub might have been whipping up a bit of hysteria, unless it was the case that they were saying, if you borrow X amount to cover it.
The bar wasn't open. Secondly, the councillor that said it would be up to roughly £1 million. Is that right?
I'll answer it if you like.
All right, okay, yeah. Well, my guess is it would have been easier if you just put your hand up there. Okay, well, my guess is he's obviously going to answer for this now, but it's probably a case of if you borrow X and you loan it over a very long period, obviously your interest repayments go up. Is it something like that? I don't know. Purchase, I don't know. He said it.
So I need to be very clear about what I did say. So the purchase price plus the money that we've spent on the project so far, plus what we would need to borrow to do the renovations as proposed in the surveyor's report, could get near to £1 million. That was what I said in the pub.
No? You did. Okay.
As I opened up my wording to you, I live next door, I own half the property for my son.
Can you just hold the mic a little closer? A bit closer to your mouth, Sam.
I'm awfully sorry. Yeah, I live next door, half of Lord's Hall, and we have rectified and put right sunken floorboards, disappearing joists, collapsing ceilings, tiles falling off the roof, chimney stacks falling over. I actually have spent £700 contributing to the 3 chimneys that are on my adjoining property, number one, because they were dangerous. So we've only managed to spend £80,000. And now that I'm too old and can't see what I'm doing with my enormous garden, I'm trying to sell the house. And because of the state of the way that this whole thing is being treated, the estate agents are saying, oh yes, you've got that property. I think you better drop your price by £100,000 in order to sell it. So it's actually killing me moving on and killing me if I don't move on. Anyway, this is my plight and it's not your problem. I do hope we can resolve this problem sensibly.
Yeah, one of the commercially sensitive reasons I alluded to is the fact that your property is on the market and anything we say publicly makes buyer. That's an example of how we are kind of legally bound in what we can tell you. Okay, who's somebody? Yeah. I need my glasses on.
Right. I moved down to Stratton 13 months ago, and I live in the cabana house that looks out on Stratton roundabout with all the greenery on. And I've been going down to Stratton since I've come to live here. And David and his shop is absolutely marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. So helpful, it is unbelievable. And I draw money out, I pay bills, because I've got other property I didn't want. And if you shut those down, if you shut him down and you've got such a loss for the community, I can't believe you're even thinking about it. I can't believe it.
Okay, obviously, just to address that, we own the property. We are not going to shut a shop down or anything else. You know, this isn't, shall we close Stratton stores down tonight?
What is it? What is it? Why are we here? Why are we here?
We are here, as I read out, we are here. We own the building. The building needs significant work. We will need to take out a large very large public works loan, and we will need to work out how to pay it off. Do we increase the rent? Do we lob it all on council tax? How many years do we borrow it for? We own the property and we have to make a decision on the property. Obviously, some consideration to the tenant and what he does is part of that. But we also, another area where we're in a difficulty is we can't discuss his tenancy in public. Understandably, he's entitled to confidentiality. But if we are going to borrow X amount of money and the repayments are Y, we have to calculate where that money comes from. That's what we're going to do after we've listened to you.
Why did you, so we've got to this stage now, why wasn't this, why weren't you aware of this a bit further back?
In many ways, I'd love to read out the minutes of the meeting where we decided to buy this, and by the quite a lot of the people around this table weren't there. It was in a closed session. We were advised in the strongest possible terms imaginable by experts, financial and structural, not to buy it. Because we might end up in this situation. Okay, enough people in that room, it wasn't a unanimous decision, there's a couple sat around the table that didn't vote for it, but enough people in that room voted to buy it. That's why we're in this situation, because we ignored expert advice. And the previous clerk, who resigned pretty much as a result because he knew where we'd end up. Okay, so that's the honest truth. I can't tell you who voted for what. I can tell you what I voted for because it's a confidential meeting. All right, I'm one of the 4 people that went, that advice is so categoric, any sane person would follow it. So I argued against buying it, not because I didn't want to support the shop, not because I didn't want to provide flats in Stratton, but because I understood the business implications for us and everyone's money. But I lost the vote, and the way it works is, what's it called? Vicarious liability. Is that right? Once a decision is made...
Order, Mayor. I think we're here to listen to the crowd, not you.
Ask the question. So that's how we're here. That's why we're going to have to make a decision based on where we are now. David wants to talk, but that's the simple truth. I've got David.
Yeah, it's on.
Right, not David.
Look at what I've just written. I've got to hold it up. Right, okay. It's the bottom bit. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Well, we're here in the South West tomorrow. Right, okay, let me just introduce myself. My name's Sean Westwood. I live in Princes, which is opposite or very near to the shop. I refurbished that building, so I'm pretty familiar with the kind of issues that are going to arise when you look at the building that the council now own. I'm also a professional engineer, so one of the professionals that probably told you should buy it in the first place.
Quite possibly.
But I've got 40 years experience developing and building very large projects. So one of which was the Elizabeth line for the government, the new one that runs in London. I did the Jubilee line and I put the deals together to allow that to happen. So I raised a 16 billion quid for Crossrail to be built. I've read the surveyor's report. It's not a structural survey, but it's a surveyor's report. And I've looked at the costs, which seem to me to be broadly okay. One of the things that strikes me, though, that if you look at that building as a building, the reality is that it's probably not worth repairing. Let me just finish. Let me finish. And the reason that I found that interesting was that it wouldn't be the approach I would have adopted if I owned that building. One of the approaches I would do is that the building comes with some land. And the reality is that sometimes when you have a building like the one that you own,
is that you have to spend a little bit more money. In fact, the reality is that you need to develop it, not repair it. Because in developing it, you can generate the revenue stream that pays for the development. And that's one of the options that you don't seem to have considered. We all would like the shop to remain, providing the community service that it does. The problem is that the building it's in needs to be developed, not necessarily repaired in my view. But how you finance that will ultimately provide the mechanism by which we can keep the shop. So the shop is a sort of indirect consequence of that. So can I ask you why you didn't consider the spatial issues associated with the building and what you could do with the building and how you could develop that building and create rents that would service the investment that would be required to develop that building?
I'll respond. I think your points are entirely valid. I mean, you're absolutely right. And what it does is highlight the problem that we have. As a public body, we're a small town council. Okay, we don't have the expertise, we don't have the knowledge. Just let me finish. You've been able to talk. And in reality, our officers who are employed by us by using your money have to spend weeks and months learning how to do this stuff. Or what we do is use your money to buy the expertise in. There's no choice about that, right? And let me finish. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did.
So you've got expertise from the community that can help.
Okay, let me finish. The other problem we have as a public body is to show good practice and governance. I've heard it said, well, no, we can get someone in locally and just do it. We can't do that. As a public body, we cannot do it. We're using your money and we have to go through an appropriate procurement process. That's law. We don't have a choice about that because it's your money. Now, that means that we're restricted about who we can use and how we can use them. And that's a fact. It's truth. Okay? I'd love to be able to turn around and say, do you know what? We can talk to a local contractor. We can give them £80,000 and we'll do it up. I'd love to be able to do that, but we can't. And that's the reality of it. The other thing that's really important, and I'm going to emphasise it again because I can't overemphasise it enough, the shop is a private commercial enterprise. It has nothing to do with us as a town council. We do not control what happens to that building. We buy the shop, okay? The shop, and I know they're going to say it, right? They could move out next week. They could move out next month. We can't do anything about that. We can't stop them. It's the same as the post office. The post office chooses to move out next month. We can do nothing about it. Okay, as much as we might want to complain, and we've seen it happen all over the country, these sort of shops, these sort of post offices are closing every day. Right, and and the honest truth is, as a town council, we can't do anything about that.
But they're not going anywhere.
Well, we don't know that. Well, okay. Okay, what I would say is, you may be right. You may be right. Okay, in 10 years' time, in 15 years' time, we don't know what the situation is going to be. We don't. Right, but we're still paying for it. Okay, we are still paying for it. I absolutely want you to have the community asset in Stratton. But it has to be done in a way that we as a town council have to manage it. We don't have a choice. So it's great to hear that we've got expertise locally. It's great to hear that we could use it. The reality is we can't. Because we're constrained by the legal obligations we have. Unless
hold on, look, every time you lot shout out, we can't hear you. And you know, you're interrupting him. When I read that civility and respect thing, it's one person at a time. Otherwise, it's just a jumble of noise. The people listening online have no idea what's being said by who anywhere. I understand it's emotive, but we do need to behave, you know, with a wider audience in mind. So, Tony, have you finished? Okay. I said I'd come to David next, unless you want to.
DD survey for free, which we took them up on.
There's more to it than this.
The first is, I'd like to understand specifically which procurement regulation you want your quoting and saying it's impossible, because I deal with this all the time. I still work for the government. I understand this legal environment which you keep talking about. So I'd like to understand precisely what's stopping the council, what regulation is stopping the council from utilising expertise that exists. You only have to use the regulation for when you want to procure a service. If that service is offered to you for no charge, it doesn't fall against the regulation.
Does anyone know why we haven't done it? Okay. In this instance, you may be absolutely right. So my question is, I suppose, really, and again, I'm new to the council now over the last 6 months, and and I've been driving this because I want to get a decision made, because it's been on the back burner for the last 2.5 years. I've not been involved in the conversations that you're talking about. So does anyone know if this offer of free advice has been provided?
I've never seen an offer from you. What did you say your name was again?
Yes, it was mentioned that
It didn't get forwarded to me or anybody else.
The second issue is that you haven't really answered my question. Why didn't you consider how you might develop that site to raise or provide port flats for which you could actually lease out and raise a revenue, finance and investment? And you're perfectly liberty, you own buildings, and councils are permitted to do that.
Yeah, go.
I'll answer. Well, I think it's a really valid point. I mean, the reason we haven't is because what we've asked for, again, because none of this work was done previously. When the building was bought in the first place, very much as the Mayor has described, it was done against the advice of the town clerk for all the reasons that we know. Okay, so the due diligence element of it really wasn't done, right? And that now has been done, which is what the public consultation was about, which is why the business case has been written to advise us about exactly where we are in the financial situation. So to be honest with you, it hasn't been considered because nobody thought about it. And it's been sat on the shelf for 2.5 years, right, since we bought it, with people wondering about what to do. And there's been various ideas bandied about developing the toilets and et cetera, et cetera. I take your point, absolutely. I can't answer why it's not been done. What I can say is that obviously what we've asked for is a business case to give us the sort of detailed statistics and money that we're talking about in order to maintain the property as it is, develop it to a situation where the flats can be used upstairs and ensure that it remains sound. That's what we've asked for. Now, there may be other opportunities to develop it in different ways. Of course there will. But the truth is, at the moment, again, as a council, that for us, for our officers, and I would say our officers are dedicated. I dread to think how many hours, but we're talking months of work to get us to a point where we can have this discussion as being well informed as we are. And that means on top of their normal day-to-day business, because this isn't their normal day-to-day business. This is the extraordinary stuff that we're dealing with here, right? And our officers have dedicated a phenomenal amount of effort and time in it, and it isn't really their job. And so the only other way we can resolve that is by buying it in. So I think you make a fair point, but ultimately, in the end, we are where we are. We can only deal with what we've got in front of us.
Okay. David, I'll come to you. You have had your hand up for a while. Do you want to go now?
Hi, I'm David. I run Stratton Stores. Thank you for everybody for turning up today. It's amazing. Can I just go to Councillor Gibbs' point? We don't own the shop, we own the building. The questionnaire that was put out was solely about the shop, not about the asset the council owned. I did bring this up at one of the meetings with Councillor Paddock and Tom and everybody, and I said, you're going to put this questionnaire out and ask about private commercial business as a council, as a landlord. I don't agree with that. I agree that it should be about the asset you own and how the community will view the asset, not the business. Now you're going, well, actually, we don't own the business, we can't do anything about that. You're asking questions about it, you asked the public about it, and 900 people responded about the business, not the asset. I asked for a cover letter to go on that questionnaire saying, maybe to introduce yourselves, maybe to introduce some plans that you've got for the building, maybe costings or not costings or some sort of formal plan. Nobody knows what your actual plans are because that hasn't been shared with anybody. So you ask about a private business, you put the question out there and we pushed it out to as many people as possible. A lot of people answered. 87% said they support the council taking action to keep One Lord's Court. But, why was the questionnaire aimed at the business solely? Why wasn't it aimed at, we've got possible revenue from this building, if we were to do it up, if we were to spend money on it? One of the questions was, would you increase your council tax precinct to the council for One Lord's Court? So a lot of people think that you're giving money to the shop. The amount of times we have been asked, why are they giving money to you? Or that wasn't clearly presented, and we are dealing with that fallout, not the council.
Yeah, I'm going to let Tom respond. Obviously, the reason I'm pointing to different people is I'm not on every committee. My loose understanding of that, I'll let Tom. I was aware that you and possibly your family had raised objections to the original questionnaire. I was then informed that you had actually agreed to it going out. But I'm not on that committee, so I will concede the floor to Tom.
Thank you. Yeah, very simply, and I did try to explain this in the King's Arms a few Saturdays ago. The survey that was carried out was very much with an eye on the possibility of an application for a public works loan. It might have seemed some of the questions might not have seemed very relevant to you, but from the point of view of applying for a public works loan, which would be the only route to borrow the money, this is what it was very much aimed at, not to try and undermine the importance. It was, and also, of course, it is obviously it is very important to Stratton. The shop is very important to Stratton. There's no doubt about that. But unfortunately, we have to take into account the views of the whole of Bude-Stratton, and that's why the questions were designed the way they were. And there was several of us who put a lot of time to considering them, and we had disagreements, and but we came up with what we thought was a reasonable. So the survey has its flaws, but it was. I think I certainly was happy with it.
I mean, I'm not objecting to this questionnaire as a whole. I was just asking why it was solely based on the shop, and all the questions were about the business and not about the asset that the council owns, and what you might be able to do with that asset, and what might be income. If the council borrow the money, which was mentioned in the questionnaire, that the council may well be able to make a return on the building. And we should just be more open towards, if we were to borrow money or to put the council tax up, then there will be an income from that building. It was solely based around business on the ground floor. There was no mention of flats upstairs or anything.
Yeah, well, I won't go on very long, but it was done entirely with an eye on applying for the public works loan. That, obviously, you would hope that there would be a return, but as I did explain as well, this is not a business case a commercial business case in the usual sense of the word, in that a business looks at an investment to see how much to return. This was very much about a business case where we explain how much it's going to cost, how it's going to be paid for. The council wasn't. If the council covers costs, that's all it has to do. So that's it. So I won't go on, but it was very much done with a view to making a credible case for applying for a public works loan. I can assure you that one.
Okay, so it was the gentleman on the far end, somebody in here, number 3 is my man there, 4 was it, 5?
Mr. Mayor, councillors, I declare that I am not a resident of Bude-Stratton. I am chairman of the neighbouring parish council, Lawnsels, and I have been asked by a large number of residents and parishioners in Lawnsels who use the shop to ask the council to use every endeavour possible to find a responsible manner in which to conduct this, which a property which keeps the tremendous local asset which is Stratton Stores. Many, many people in my parish, of which I'm chairman, use and get benefit from the Stratton Stores, and we ask to use all your best endeavours to find a way to develop the property or to repair the property such that the stores remain.
Okay. Obviously, my immediate thought on that, and we have had this conversation with funding skate parks and youth facilities and everything like that, would your parishioners be willing to share some of the cost of a facility they use?
Mr. Mayor,
it's tongue in cheek, but it's a curious underlying point.
If during your endeavours to find a solution, you pose the question, I am more than happy to ask my council whether they would.
That's basically what I was asking. We've done, so we helped Marham Church Council a bit with the Heel Valley Trail, for example. The skate park that's going to be used, there's people from everywhere using it. Sometimes I think maybe a broader brush of, well, we use all these facilities, maybe we'll throw a fiver of our council tax that way, but that's a different conversation for a different night, but we might talk. Thank you.
Can I just add that Lawrence's Parish Council was one of the parish councils that contributed to the Heel Valley Trail. So
yeah, I'm not entirely surprised. I met you at your church
a couple of weeks ago,
and we had a very nice lunch. Yes. Right. Sorry, it was in here, then over there, then the lady at the back, then there.
Thank you. I hope this is an appropriate moment to offer an alternative to the council. I think it's referred to as one of your optional ways forward. So I'm one of the directors of North Kernow Community Housing. We're a community land trust, a type of non-profit community-based organisation that can acquire and hold land and property for the benefit of the local community. Any land owned by a CLT can only ever be used for community benefit. Legally, we're a community benefit society, regulated by the Financial Services Authority, and we're an exempt charity, which means we're entitled to the financial benefits of charitable status without being regulated by the Charity Commission. North Kernow Community Housing was established in November 2022 with the specific aim of creating genuinely affordable housing for the people in Bude-Stratton and surrounding parishes. We believe that everyone should have access to a safe, warm and secure home, that affordable housing is everyone's right, and that community thrives when everybody's living needs are met. We also believe that communities are best placed to know their own needs, and when supported are best placed to provide solutions. So in the case of Lord's Court, we would ask the Council to consider working with us to enable us to acquire the property to become a community asset in perpetuity. Our aim would be to continue the lease to the stores for as long as they want to continue, and to renovate the upper floors to create 3 flats, or possibly 4, given what I've heard this evening, which we'd want to make available to local residents in need at local housing authority rates. It's clear from the response to the consultation that the stores and the post office are a significant asset in the local community, valued by many residents, the loss of which would have a significant detrimental impact on community life. We believe that working with us would be a way to enable the Council to comply with the resolution made in December 24 to protect the shop and post office. There's also a clear need for properties of this type within the area, with over 300 people in the Bude-Stratton area currently in need of 1 and 2 bedroom homes. So whilst I can't be specific about how we would approach this financially, we would look to fund the purchase through a community share issue and a loan if necessary. We've spoken to a social impact property fund manager that has the funds available to organisations like ours to purchase the property. And in terms of the redevelopment of flats, we'd look to work with a registered housing provider to secure funding from Homes England and Cornwall Council. So if the council is minded to consider our request, then we'd ask you to delay taking any action to dispose of the property until we've had time to develop our funding plans and to work with officers and local residents to present a more complete solution that would guarantee the future of the building as a community asset.
Obviously, I have a few questions. Did we not talk to you in the last 12 months and you tell us you weren't in a position to do this? Are you the same land trust? Because we did speak to one, but obviously I don't know the face behind
I
it.
know that my colleagues came to one of your meetings, and as I understood it, we were just an observer. I don't think at any point we said we weren't in a position to help you. And if it wasn't for the issue of a lost email, I'd have been involved in this a little bit earlier, but that's my fault.
In fact, we did speak to, we did one of our...
Are we sure it's the same one?
It is the same one.
Right, okay.
We did approach your predecessors, and it was one of the first things I, as a councillor for Bude-Stratton, was keen to pursue, and the word came back at the time that it wasn't viable, it wasn't something that the housing that your group was prepared to undertake. But I'm very pleased to hear that it may now be a possibility. And in spite of how late in the day it is.
Well, we didn't get a different answer 6 months ago.
There may be room to explore.
That's obviously why I led with that question, because I didn't know. Obviously, my second follow-up question: how long do you need to get the money and put a business case together? Because, as Tom's pointed out, we literally came to your organisation and were told no. So why haven't we considered it? We did. Got a different answer from a different person.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
It's fine. No.
Somebody showing the email.
We don't need to do that. It's fine. If we said that in the past, then I can only apologise to everybody here, because certainly if I'd been involved, I wouldn't have said it.
Yeah, I mean, I was in the meeting, Tom was in the meeting. It's, you know, not making this up.
I'm not prepared to put a figure on the date of the length of time it would take. We need to sit down, but I would say at least 3 months.
3 months, all right.
Bearing in mind that, am I allowed to say Christmas? I'm not in the barrel. Is in the way, as it were. So we need a bit of time.
3 months to present a workable business plan.
To put together a business plan, yes.
Yeah. Well, I was going to go easy on his hand up for a while, and yeah, there's there, and there.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councillors and friends. I find on these occasions it's useful to have a prepared statement, which is in 3 parts. The first part is the BBC News Southwest report of 25th of March 2023. Bude-Stratton Town Council successfully bid £275,000 for Stratton schools. Post office in the auction on Wednesday. The property includes 4 residential units that the council intends to make available to people seeking affordable housing. Councillor Broy, with my great respect, called it an ambitious move to secure homes and the shop for Stratton. He added, the council is a responsible landlord and can be trusted to look after the property for a long term. And while the property will need some refurbishment, there may be some disruption whilst repairs and modernisations are done, I feel sure most people will be glad. The decision to bid for the property came after strong support. The building includes 2 flats and 2 bed sits, and the council's intention is to make the improvements to the property and maintain reasonable rents for local people. That's the first part. The second part is my prepared thing. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Again, I speak tonight not only as a resident, but as someone who has spent his working life shaping and cherishing places that hold us. a community's heart. When this council resolved to purchase post office and stores, it did so in recognition of something that cannot actually be measured on a balance sheet. Its role as a vital community asset, the shop. Those were the councillor's own words. The purpose was clear: to safeguard a service essential to Stratton life and to the well-being of its largely older and less mobile residents. That purpose has not changed. The condition of the upper floors may have changed. The building may have changed, but like people, they can be repaired when there is a political will and there is the imagination to it. The core principle is the community asset status, the reason why you purchased it. If the property was purchased expressly as a vital community asset, that creates a moral and potentially legal duty of stewardship. The change in the building's condition does not change its purpose. It was brought into public ownership in order to preserve a vital community asset. It remains the vital community asset that everybody's come here to support tonight, an asset that the council holds in trust for the people of Stratton. The council is not just a property owner. You are a guardian of place continuity. I completely understand to declare the property a liability, to discharge your financial responsibilities. I get all that. I've been on such organisations in the past myself. But, Mr. Mayor, if you forget why you bought it, not for public, not for profit, but for public good. If the fabric's failing, we'll work together with very, very valuable support we've just heard tonight. Let's work together and mend it. The people of Stratton have shown their strength. 900 signatures, 900 for the postmaster, who served his town faithfully and well. As to the wonderful staff, the girls are fantastic. This is not sentimentality. This is not sentimentality. It is your public duty of stewardship. Pause the sale. Let's look at what has just been offered earlier. Explore partnerships. 4 questions that I'm not expecting you to answer tonight, but 4 questions that I believe are vital for us, the people of Stratton, to know. The PWLB, I've actually looked at the current rates available, and that you, the council, can borrow that money more cheaply than anybody in the private sector. And would like to know, another question, how much return to date on rental income have you had? Okay, so you served notice on the tenants above, but how much has already come in? You paid £275,000 for it, you've put more money to it, but you've also had money coming in. So let's tell the public, can we know how much money has come in and how much could have come in had all those tenancies not been served notice? Has a calculation been undertaken against rental income for refurbishment borrowing at the special rates that you can secure, especially in collaboration with a public housing authority? Because I have done those exercise on the back of a cigarette packet, as they say, with people who would know in the area, and that calculation says that within 6 years, with your very favourable borrowing rates, actually it becomes a public asset financially as well as socially for the council. And basically, I think it's also reasonable that we, the public, can have at some time in the future available the minutes of all the decisions that have been made. You are elected on our behalf, you serve us well, we are pleased, and all we want from you is openness and accountability, which you try to go out of your way to get. We are grateful for all the public service that all the councillors give their free time, and I know it's thank the staff for communication. But pause, and thank you very much for listening to me.
There's a lot of questions there. I might struggle to remember them. Obviously, the first thing I'm going to address is you referred several times to pause the sale. We've not actually decided to sell it. So that the entire follow-on from that, you're kind of predetermining what we're actually going to decide here. We have not decided to sell the property. It's an option, but we haven't made that decision. So let's get that nice and clear. The minutes of every meeting are uploaded onto the council website and are available. So unless, I mean, I don't do it personally, but I'm fairly sure if you look, the minutes are on there. What was the other question? Have we considered the financing? Yes, we have. That's part of the business case that we've got, the 22-page report that we've got. So all of that math has been done. Can I tell you how much rent we charged the tenant? No, I can't. That falls into the realms of confidentiality. I think. I'll go for a clarification from our law people.
I didn't ask how much. Well, I said that the PWLB rates, if you look them up over.
No, you asked whether I could tell you what money had been made from renting the property out. I can't tell you how much he pays us.
Rental income has come in from all of the 5 premises which comprise.
I don't think I can tell you that. By doing that, I'd be telling you how much rent he pays us. That's confidential.
Mr. Mayor, the only point I'm making is that you get all the money going out.
David can tell you,
but
I can't do that.
Put that into the equation as well.
Yeah, we've obviously done the math on that, but I can't tell you how much rent David pays us. If David decides to tell you, I can't stop him, but I can't do it. I think you understand why, as a landlord, I can't give out the rental income.
Yeah, no, I don't think it would be either. It shouldn't be identifying individuals.
How much in total have you received as a consequence of renting the flats out and renting the shop?
Well, by that, you'd divide it by the length of time we had it, and you'd have the number.
Yeah, I think.
Right. Okay. They're advising. We will get it if we can legally let you have it. Can we find out? Okay. I'm being told by them that I can't. Yeah, I'm not going to put myself in that predicament. So I think I've answered 3 of your questions. What? Well, like I've said, David can tell them. Yeah.
What did we do?
I think it was the lady at the back and then the lady there. Yeah, so it's you, then you, then you. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm not very good at public speaking. My name's Amy. I've lived in Stratton since I was born. I was born in Stratton Hospital. I have 2 young children who are 6 and 10 who use David's shop on a daily basis, pretty much. They build their confidence by going into the shop, their emotional well-being by building confidence, their social confidence, and they're not the only children within the village that use the shop. It is such a hub. It's for the older generation, it's for the younger generation, and it's for me as a mum as well. If I forget something on the shopping list, I don't have to drag all my kids into the car to go into Bude. We can walk down to the village shop. And that's about it, really. I really want to support the shop. I love the girls. They give jobs to the teenage girls in the village, which is so important for the young kids these days to have a purpose, to have something to get up for, because some of them don't like going to school. So yeah, thanks Dave, thanks girls. We really support you guys, okay?
I think it was the lady just in front of you with the dark hair. Sorry.
I'm Douglas too.
Don't be.
My name's Sam. I used to live in Stratton. I live in Bude now. My son was born in Stratton. Well, basically, what I want to ask, I don't know if it's or not, but the Kavana homes at the top of Stratton, they belong to Stratton.
I know it.
So Kavana said that when they built those properties, that they were going to provide money for doctors, for dentists, and for community. So where is that money?
You are preaching to the choir. I live on the Shorelands estate. They promised us homes for wounded soldiers, a hotel, a community hub, a play park. We haven't even got a road, and I've been there 11 years. I can't answer your question because I'd love to know the answers myself. I'm sorry. I entirely agree with the point you're making, though.
Is this a Cornwall Council question, though?
Yeah, it's above our level. Believe me, I took photos of the signs on your thing because I didn't have them on my estate. And I fired those photos in saying, where's this money? Where's this money? And quite honestly...
This is the problem, I feel, with our communities. I mean, we had the Bude neighbourhood plan years ago, set up, we were all supposed to put in our input. And sorry, I have to stand up. You know, it just seems that all these promises with all these houses that are standing empty, actually, you know, and what affordable housing do we actually see, really? It's all just numbers. And I know that it's not Bude-Stratton Town Council, but there's always something within these councils. Cornwall Council is too far from us. You know, I mean, it serves Truro and places. Yeah. You know, I looked one time, and I was looking at light pollution in Bude, and I found out Cornwall Council covered everywhere up to Cameron. Bude wasn't in it, because we're on borders. So these are the things I think should be addressed by people who've been elected to speak about it.
Yeah, obviously some of the money goes into the community interest levy fund, but...
We'll give you a formal answer if you like.
Yeah, quick, you know, we have got Peter LeBroy, who is responsible for housing in Cornwall. So he can't, sorry to put you on the spot, but if you can't answer it...
Speak loud enough, because I've got a...
Do you want a mic?
Jade's coming.
Oh, that's good, I like that.
Yeah.
It's getting faster.
We'll go to Q2.
I feel a bit awful because I didn't hear your question before because I was making notes of what I'm planning to say in the later session. But what you talked about was money that's been promised by developers. And that goes into a pot, which is called Community Infrastructure Levy. So every time a developer develops out a site, even relatively small sites, 10 houses plus, they have to pay a certain amount of money. In some cases, it's quite a considerable amount of money. Now, because we have a neighbourhood plan in Bude-Stratton, we automatically get 25% of that automatically given back to us. And some of that money is held in our reserves. And I believe that that money was used tonight to support the skate park decision earlier as part of the infrastructure. So in the region of, perhaps the mayor might help me out, was it a couple £100,000 of community infrastructure? I accept that. Obviously. There is a further amount of money which is coming to Bude. There's a pot of £350,000, which was contributed by Kavanagh as part of their Section 106 agreements. And there are plenty of other examples of where that money, I mean, I can't tell you exactly what they are now, but I could look into them and find them out. There are plenty of other examples of that money coming in. The problem I think that you're bringing up is that when developers make promises, like the mayor alluded to, they're actually not bound to deliver them. All they have to do is to facilitate the opportunity for communities to take them on. It's not right, I agree with you, right? But we always do our best to make sure that the obligations that developers have are stitched to them and they do deliver on those. And I am assured that they do.
Yeah.
Yes, Jade.
Oh, yeah, I know. Right, go on then.
Protect the status of the buildings. If you protect the school by protecting that part of the building for that use.
You've looked into that, haven't you? Has that looked into? Checking the status of the building. Checking the status of the building.
That's where this comes in. Deteriorating unless something is done.
Yeah, sorry, do you mean like getting it listed or?
They wouldn't necessarily. That's where the tenancy, that's where this comes in. Possibly say or to allow community organisations to come in and do it.
Yeah, go.
Well, good evening, everyone. Take the microphone. David Stratton.
Well, good evening. Nice to see so many people here. Out of 12,000 people in Bude, it's quite a good turnout, actually. Anyway, the question was, Bude-Stratton, quite correct. Big primary. It's all generic. Anyway, the question I think was, could the council protect the use of that building? It probably doesn't need to, because the current tenant, as in any commercial tenant, has exceptional rights under the Landlord and Tenant Act of 1984. And it doesn't really matter who owns it. That tenant has got the right to stay there as long as they want to renew their lease. So the question of disposal by the council is going to suddenly be at the end of Stratton stores is not really a serious consideration. David put his hand up, he might be. But without going into specifics, which I can't because of lawful reasons, but being generic, any commercial tenant has the right to renew his or her lease. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
So, when you were facing eviction back in 2023, because you got approached the council for different premises or for help, we were facing eviction because it made more sense for a private landlord to convert a shop or ground floor into 2 flats for rental income. When the council bought the building, they said that no, we don't need as much as a rental income per year because we can also look at the social aspect. If you were to sell the building back to a private landlord, then that possibly gets reversed. They would look at it as more of a rental income.
Well, I don't want to get it to and fro with you, but I'm not a commercial lawyer, but I think you're wrong. It's quite straightforward that if under Section 25, a landlord served a Section 25 notice, and you didn't want to leave, you could contest that in court, and a judge would have to issue Section 25, which is unlikely to be successful, given the community value that you demonstrate. So I think you're pretty secure, to be honest. Right. Well, there we are. I think you've been offered one.
There is.
About terms in the working group that I believe only met twice. I believe there was 3 councillors in that working group, and you should turn up both times.
Well, one of them. Do we want to?
I'll let you decide whether you want to get into that. I wasn't in the room.
No, I wouldn't.
No, I think you've answered it. I mean, there's no point going out.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I pointed at somebody over there. Kevin, you had your hand up. I'll come to you in a minute, all right? So the lady over there. What was the question?
All right, I will.
Well, that's a statement. I've not got a lease.
Can I will.
Okay, Tony.
I'm happy to as well.
All right.
I'll put my head above the parapet again. Right, put myself in the firing line. Okay, right. As far as I understand it, when we bought the building, okay, there was a lease in place. You have a lease, because if you didn't have a lease, you couldn't be in the building. So you do have a lease. Yes? Right, and that lease is with us as a council, as the owners of the building. Okay, so there is a lease in place, and it is with us. Yes? So you have no lease?
No, I signed a lease in 2014 with 2 landlords.
Yeah. That's the lease that exists. And that's still the lease that exists? That hasn't been changed? So that lease is with us?
It gets inherited by the...
It becomes inherited by the owner of the building, right? Yep. So the lease, this is law, this is what he said, right? The lease that is in place at the point of purchase is the one that remains in place with the new owner. That's the law. Right, so your lease, as it was, as you signed it in 2014, is in place with us. Because otherwise you couldn't occupy the building. That's the reality. Right. Okay, so that's clear. What we've tried to do, and I don't want to get into any detail about that, but in order to advise us, because you said you want long-term certainty, so do we, right? And we need it because it's about risk. Okay, it's about the risk of your money and what we're investing it in for the long term. Because if we're talking about borrowing money for 10, 15, 20, 50 years, we need to know we've got a return on it. Because otherwise, that asset is just a liability. And it's costing us all money. So therefore, what we want to do is provide that certainty by organising a lease in principle. That's all we've asked for, is what is it in principle you'd like to talk to us about. At the moment, we've not been able to have that conversation. I understand why. Don't want to go into the detail of it, but I want to be clear that there is a lease in place, which is legally binding, and it is with us as a council. Okay? Is everybody happy with that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jerry,
in fairness, I was at the meetings with David. You've raised the issue, David, and at that without prejudice meeting, you were invited to actually give comments because you have said to me in the past you wanted a long-term lease. I heard that. We heard that. We had the meeting and invited yourselves to put forward suggestions. As I understand it, no suggestions have been forthcoming from yourselves.
Well, that was only a few weeks ago.
Well,
and I mean, you can't have only 2.5 years. So
well,
it takes time to gather these resources, especially from post office to see how they can commit to it, etc. So yes, you've approached us finally, which I welcome that, but it takes time for us to get back to you. It's taken 2.5 years for the council to come to us. So a few weeks, I don't feel
to be quite honest, David, and I don't want to get into a to and fro because we put on the table that invitation to yourselves to come forward. I would argue that actually, if it's that vital in your position, I would have come forward a damn sight faster.
Right. And working out what I work, I invite you to do that, and I will sit down and I'll invite you to each time. There you go.
No, no. What? Do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I will just say, I very briefly, I was there at the, after that, thank you. And I appreciate it's, again, quite late in the day and whatever, but we are where we are. It was a genuine offer. Would you like to come to tell us what would be important to you? In at least, we have to start somewhere. Alternatively, the council could say, this is the lease we've decided, sign or else. The approach was very much, can we have a mature conversation about it? And you were invited to come forward with your suggestions. Can I just ask, you say it was very late in the day or whatever, or, it wasn't very long ago. Is there a possibility you could give us an idea as to when you may be able to?
I did reply to Beth with the details about that.
Yes, I saw that email, yes, but there's no firm commitment. So I'm just asking, do you have? No. This wasn't about commitment. This was asking you what were the priorities, because I have no experience of leases or anything like that. And it isn't just about the amount per month. It's about all the property maintenance and all the other issues. So I can only say that from me, it was inviting you to perform. So if that can still be done, depending on the decision here tonight, then
right, we can't. I'm just going to caution both of you now. We can discuss what was there, but we can't get into discussing a lease. My understanding of this, and then that's going to be the end. My understanding was that they were hoping for something like, I'd like a 10-year lease, or I'd like a 15-year lease, and then we could have come back with how would it look. It was the opening of a conversation, shall we say? It wasn't meant to be tell us what you want or else. That's my understanding of it. I might have misread that slightly. I wasn't in the room again. I said we were going to go for an hour. I've given you a little bit more. We're going to have 10 more minutes, and then I'm going to suspend the meeting for 5 minutes, because I don't know about anybody else, but I need to toilet.
I agree.
Anybody else can take a break, smoke outside, whatever you want. Then we're going to kick back off at 8 o'clock, and it will be brought into us. So 10 minutes, get your comments in. Yes, I did say, yeah.
Isn't there an opportunity here for a win-win? Because I know yourselves are very worried about it, and we've heard tonight from people in the hall, they've got some good ideas. Yeah? I'm not an expert, but wouldn't it be good to maybe get the people, the gentleman here and the gentleman there together with yourselves, yeah, and sit down together, listen to all the proposals, and then look to see which is the best opportunity that might help you, and that's not the forward, so we can share the expertise and then avoid miscommunication like we kind of like.
Yeah, I obviously, although I'm the mayor, I get one vote like everybody else. It's not like a presidency, so I can't decide what the rest of them are going to do. I'm not going to put a proposal on the table yet because we haven't come in, but I'm kind of thinking any proposal we do will be a decision that is not enacted for 3 months to give the Community Land Trust time to put their business case together. Whether that, I don't know, but you, for my money, you deserve to know what's going on. You deserve a decision. I've seen it mentioned, don't kick the can down the road, all of that kind of stuff. The gentleman there and his organisation need time to put a business plan together. So we make a decision tonight and we delay the decision, the inaction of the decision rather than delaying the decision. That gives you 3 months to come to us with a workable solution, a workable business plan, look for your funding, everything else you need to do. Talk to the gentleman over there who seems to have a wealth of experience that might be useful. But that's just what I'm thinking. These guys might have a very different plan. And that's when somebody said, you know, what is your plan? You're asking 18 of us, you're going to get a lot of different answers. But you've got 10 minutes left, and I really do need the toilet. So any other comments?
On a point of safety, there's a great many amount of cables and pipes has been assembled on my house because David's shop is, the front's falling off. How dangerous is the front of falling off, which David, you know, lots of people come through that shop front, and somebody said it's only the glass that's holding the thing up. Has anybody got the structural plan that says it's quite safe? The front, the building.
I drive a lorry and run logistics. That's what I'm paid to do, so I can't really.
Okay.
Did that come up in? I didn't see it in the report. No, it's not something that came up specifically in the survey that was done.
It's not covered in your survey?
No, it was obviously surveyed and they did not think there was an immediate problem there. Am I presenting that right? Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it in the report.
Yeah,
when I've looked through it.
Yeah.
Can I just ask?
Yeah, but not dangerous.
What are your two firm choices that you're going to vote on? Is it A?
We can literally put any proposal on the table we want. I know somebody put out there that we were presented with some options. We weren't. I addressed that in my opening statement. I think I listed 4 things. I'm the mayor. Whatever happens tonight, we're going to need to put a statement out. I've prepared 3 on the loose scenarios of a deferral pending something unexpected coming up. Your man there. We sell it in some way, shape or form, or we keep it and refurb in some way, shape or form. So that was the 3 loose outcomes, but that's all it was. So I've got a paragraph ready for each that will go out depending on what's decided, with more detail to follow, defined by what the actual resolution is. But we were not given, here's your choices. We were given a wealth and breadth of information, and we've now listened to you for over an hour to get the community's thoughts on it, and we can effectively decide to do whatever we want within, you know, the bounds of the law.
Did you read the report?
Read some of it.
Well, the last page says option 1, option 2, option 3.
Yeah, but we can.
I'm just going to comment on that.
We can do what we want.
It's part of the business case. It's not an option to us.
Yeah.
We're not bound by those.
We aren't bound by those. You know.
I think what you're saying is wrong.
All right. Maybe I worded that badly. There were some options presented in the thing, but we are not limited to them. Okay. So the fact that we've now got something else has come up, we can react to that. Well, loosely, what I just said. Because that's, you know, what else can you do? it's how we do which one of them three that will define. So I think it was you, then you. Oh. Lance.
Oh, yes, sorry. I just wanted to make the statement that that part of the business case report that was placed in front of the full agenda has been what I've been basing the options to my knowledge for tonight. I believe they're general enough that I would be able to state what those three were. If anyone who's seen them knows if that's confidential or not.
It's a confidential report. A brief synopsis of what they might look like.
Okay, they are fairly similar. They are fairly
yes. All right, couple of minutes left, and then I'm going to suspend it. So I'm going to go there, and then there, and then done.
We've had a number of options discussed tonight. I think it's going to be the redevelopment of the shop rather than necessarily just repair it. And we've got a bit bogged down with David's lease and all of that. But if you do redevelop the shop, you've got a couple of flats above it, however many you have, but you've still got a shop down below. If David packs it all in tomorrow, you've still got a shop, and somebody else will lease it. What you've got there is something that will provide Stratton with an essential asset in perpetuity. Whether or not David stays, who knows? We all hope he'll stay, obviously. But you've got a shop, and somebody else will rent it.
See, I do work in the retail sector. There's a lot of charity shops around and things, it's, I could rattle off a lot of empty buildings right now begging for a tenant. That's why we that's where the conversation of, how long a lease would you like? What kind of security were we looking at? Because you can briefly address it as well, but yeah, it's not as easy as you might think.
That shop is a very valuable local shop. There's plenty of people use it. It's not going to wither away.
I didn't think it was. I was just addressing your point that it's easy to find a renter. It's not. Yeah. That's a different option. Yeah, it's, the high street, I work in that sector, it ain't as easy to find.
I know it reasonably.
Right, I think we had that guy there. Can do quickly, but then we're... Right, quickly, Tom, then we're going to you, and then I'm suspending the meeting.
I would just say, in answer to that lady, yes, the possibility, hopefully never will happen, that the shop becomes non-viable commercially, has happened in a lot of places, in Mount Church where I live, and one of the things I've been trying to motivate Stratton residents to consider is, would you be able to set up a community shop yourselves in the, hopefully it won't happen, but if the need did arise, would there be support in Stratton to form a community shop, which there is in Mount Church, which there is in Weeks and Mary, which there is now in Bridge Room. So yes, so that has been suggested, yeah.
Right, that gentleman there, and then I'm going to bang the gavel so we can all have a break. Oh, sorry, I did say you as well, yes.
So just go back to the decision you're talking about, potentially having the decision deferred. So you might make a decision and defer it for 3 months. What I'm saying, the danger of that is the decision might be, well, we'll just say that in 3 months. Hopefully this other option might come along and then it doesn't. So what I would ask people to think very carefully about is to make sure that shop stays available as a shop. And in terms of what the lady was saying about the issue about potentially somebody else might disappear, it's a commercially viable shop. There will be somebody, even if it's the community, who can take it over and pay it over time. I'm pretty sure of that. Basically, I've only been here for 4.5 years now. I could not believe the number of people that use that shop for the area that it's in. It's like literally I go there for 10 minutes a day, I'm sitting at 10, 15 people coming in every single day. That's the case in this case. We don't know what's going to happen in 10 years' time. We don't know what happens in 10 years' time. But you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it sensibly.
No, I agree. You know, like I said, I work in logistics in the retail sector. If I had that survey results, I would be going to the bank manager myself. You know, so it is a viable business. Yeah, there's no fear there.
The other point is just very quickly, if you sell it, if you decide to sell it, maybe you get from it probably the interest you get on the money you sold it for wouldn't match what you currently have for rent. So when you're considering a financial decision, you need to look at what would you get from that. You get £6 a year from that. I know for a fact you get at least 2 or 3 times more than that at the moment. So when you're looking at it from a purely financial decision, even if you have to spend a little bit on maintaining it, I'm sure the community would like that. You need to determine that, not what it's cost you so far. Because any financial decision, as your officer can tell you, you can't consider sunk costs or what's already been spent on it. Okay? No, you can't. No, you can't.
There is a process known as the sunk cost fallacy for a reason. But yeah, can we go there? Because I'm going to suspend the meeting in a minute.
I simply wanted to come back on a question that was asked earlier, was could the council protect the shop in any way? And the answer is they could list it as a community asset.
I think that was your thing.
Yeah, it's been done, is it? Okay, well that would be good news for us.
I don't think it's been done. I think it was looked at, wasn't it?
The application process. Yeah.
Just go to Tom.
Sorry, I don't want to be talking the show.
You're.
Yeah, he's busy at the moment. Yeah, this is something, sir, that we have been talking about in, liaison meetings or informal meetings at Stratton is getting it registered as an asset of community value. Yeah, absolutely. And if I may say so, without sounding too critical of a previous council should have done that before they went to buy it. But it is being done by, and I'm pleased to say, by residents of Stratton rather than the council, because residents of Stratton need to take responsibility or put in their bit as well. The council can't do it all for you, and I'm very pleased to see that there is so. They are very pleased to see.
Right.
So well, some of us have been trying to motivate, try and encourage Stratton residents to take part as much as possible.
Okay. Right. Meeting suspended for 5 minutes. I'm good now.
No, because I think it's best to get it in the open. It's got to get it out. I know he wanted to challenge that thing around, because their argument that they don't have a lease is just wrong. I mean, it's just wrong. They've got to have a lease. Well, they've got one because he's using it as leverage against us. Yeah. I know. And in front of us now, say, I haven't got a lease. So you have to agree, yeah? Which is what my point was, that whoever owns it inherits that responsibility. Even though it's not a rolling lease. Yeah, it's crap. I mean, but it's still a lease. I mean, in the way you look at it, it's still a lease. It's still legally based. Yeah, it's in his advantage too. Yeah, of course it is. That's why he knows that. It's all well and good sitting there going, oh, we don't, that's bollocks. He doesn't want to negotiate a lease because he's on such a deal at the moment. That's what. And then what he wants to do is sort of blackmail us and say, well, I'm not going to talk about lease until you've done the building. No, that's not how it works, mate. It's clearly not affecting your business. No. If you're getting 400 people through the door, if you're making 50, I think we need to ever talk about the rent. Yeah, if you're making 50 people each person that goes through, yeah, 2 day process. Yeah, I think we need to talk about the rent. Or you're suggesting that we have to spend £500,000 on developing the building. A lot of businesses are really pleased to get that sort of profit in there. You feel as though you've been flayed alive and split naked? It's fine. To be honest with you, I
Doesn't matter really.
Well, it's always that. Right. Right, let's give it a minute, let everyone sit down.
Yeah, well, that's
it. Be better, and it's just polite to do it when you're chairing a meeting with loads of people out there. It's a big public meeting at the end of the day. When it's us sat around the table, it's a bit more.
Oh, quite great.
Standing up for you.
Oh, yeah. To the right.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Right. Come on, Kelly. What?
Do you want me to go and stick my nose out there and
We
see
mute?
where we're going?
Right, you unmute the live stream. Right, we're going to get going again. So now it is for us to talk. If you hear things you disagree with, please just let us talk. All right, if you keep shouting over us, we'll be here all night. You won't get a decision. All right, so you've had your chance. Now please let us go. With that in mind, all right, go on. I was going to say probably the same thing you are, but go on.
Have we got the microphone?
Oh, I need to get back up.
Just I'm a little hoarse. Oh, me. Yeah, I'm going to speak through the microphone because I've got a little bit of a sore throat thing going on. I'm really interested in the potential for the Community Land Trust to have a good close look at this. North Kernow Community Land Trust, I mean, I'm not, we haven't really met properly. I think we did have a pint once in a pub a long time ago. What I want to say is that you are being supported by another community land trust, which is very well known to me. It's called 3Cs. And they have done some incredible projects further down in Cornwall, and they have some amazing expertise and really good people working for them. And I think with their support, there's every chance you might be able to put forward a credible project. And I think to give you the opportunity to do that would make it the right thing for us to do. So we certainly shouldn't be locking any opportunity for North Kernow Community Land Trust, supported by 3Cs, to come forward with a proposition. So what I want to do, Mr. Mayor, if it's okay, is to, very early on in this debate, is to make a proposal that we take no action to sell the property for a period of 4 months. I originally was thinking of 3, but you correctly pointed out there was Christmas in the way. So I think 4 is the appropriate amount of time, in order to allow North Kernow Community Land Trust to prepare a business case.
We need to clarify, agree with the essence. No action to sell, that implies we are going to sell at the end of it. Are we making a decision now and deferring the action, or are you deferring the decision?
So the meaning that I'm trying to give you is that we make no action to sell the property for a period of 4 months, by which time, if a credible business case has not come forward, we are left with a different decision to make. It may well be that you could choose to continue the debate this evening and predispose or predetermine that position right now.
I was going to say, yeah, I'm probably going to make the same amendment you are. I think they deserve a decision. So I think we need to make a decision tonight, give them clarity, and we delay the inaction of that decision. So based on your one, it would be sell, but not put it on the market for 4 months, giving them a chance to come forward with the right case, blah, 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 blah. If that doesn't happen, the decision is then enacted. The decision might be to keep and refurb, in which case that decision is enacted, but the decision is made now and enacted after the 4 months.
Right, so
otherwise, they still have no clarity, and we go round this whirlwind for another 4 months.
The point is, the action that will be taken in 4 months' time will be determined by the success or failure of the business case. So what I would say...
What will be the action? That needs to be declared in the resolution.
Right, so I was going to say, this needs a two-part resolution. We can make a first resolution right now to make a 4-month hiatus in order to allow the Community Land Trust to come forward with a proposal. Right, if that proposal doesn't come forward with a credible business case, action, which will be a secondary debate, which I believe should take around the table now. So I could amend that to say, right, so no action for 4 months in order to allow North Carolina Community Land Trust to prepare a business case. Should no credible business case
and then leave it there, and we will decide what follows it based on the decision now. Yes, is that
correct? Correct.
Okay, so leave the proposal out there. No, not enacted for 4 months. Does everybody understand? Whatever we decide will not be enacted for 4 months to give
further proposal or further debate.
But we will now continue the debate. We will decide what is going to happen if that doesn't.
So the secondary motion could come forward in the lines of, should no credible business case come forward, the council will ... But that comes after this one.
Yeah. Gonna up to.
How are we going to work? How are we going to do that?
So to reiterate, take no action for 4 months in order to allow North
So we're going to leave that on the table. We're not going to vote on that until we...
No, we vote on this right now. So whatever happens, we will give North Carolina Community Land Trust 4 months to come up with a credible business plan. Right? Yeah, I'm quite happy.
Right, that's your proposal.
Yeah. I can embellish it if you like and say, should no credible action come forward, then but I think it's pointless because that's the secondary one.
Yeah, I think we need to give other people the chance to talk. But
usually up to.
Okay, so take no action for up to 4 months in order to allow North Carolina Community Land Trust to prepare a credible business case.
I'm happy to second that. Right. Let's second that. Are we going to continue with it? And then there'll be another.
Yeah, I think we need to continue with
it. Further debate.
Further debate.
There'll be another resolution.
He needs a chance to speak before we start voting.
You could actually reverse those and take the decision on sale or refurb first, and then the second one follows. That will not be enacted.
I was
proposal made and seconded. I've asked you to put it to the vote.
Yeah, I thought that way as well. All right. I think it needs a little bit of work personally, but Councillor Broy would like a vote. All in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
People sure what we're voting on?
I'm still rolling it through my head.
It's actually a decision to delay any.
But no decision is made.
To delay this decision for 4 months.
This is the trouble with shotgunning things in before everyone's.
But you can't continue to debate.
Yeah, no, yeah. Okay, all right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All against. Abstain.
There would be another.
You already voted. Please.
What I've got, and then we'll...
And then stand up.
I don't know why it's complicated.
No, I thought it was quite simple.
So one law's called for up to 4 months in order to allow North Carolina Housing Trust to prepare a credible business case. Correct? Is that right, Peter?
Correct.
Thank you. Yeah. All in favour?
Stand up.
Can you stand up? Because we've...
I think.
We're going to make a second decision on what to actually do at the end of the 4 months if they fail to come up with a viable,
No, we're going to make the decision tonight of what we do in 4 months.
If it doesn't happen.
Yes, that's what I
That's okay, yeah. Sorry.
Right, so there's more to come.
Right. Oh my God, we should have just made it. Throwing in proposals that early.
I know.
Can I tell you that everybody standing is voting in favour of that resolution?
Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Anybody against? I'm going to remain standing. I'm not voting twice. 1, 2. Anybody abstaining?
I was voting against.
That's fine, Lance. All right, 10, 3, 0.
The next one's fine, isn't it?
He's asking if it should have been a joint business plan. I mean,
It's entirely up to them.
That's up to you. The proposal you come to us with, I'm pointing at you, but it might be more collective, I don't know, will be judged on the merit of the proposal. Right. Now we need to continue and decide what we're actually going to do. Would you like to make a proposal, Councillor? Or are you just...
We need a debate. Go around the table.
Go around the table.
Yeah. Okay, Kevin.
Go around the table.
Okay. Can you hear me without the microphone? Maybe you prefer me with?
I don't know.
All right, put it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's been all sorts of things said about the way in which the decision to purchase One Lord's Court was made. And I'm not holding it up as a perfect example of the way these things should be done. But one thing was very clear. If One Lord's Court had not been purchased, or if we had not agreed to bid up to the independent valuation at the auction would have gone ahead. One Lord's Court would have been sold. The tenants, all the tenants, the commercial tenant and the residential tenant, would have been evicted. And the situation would be very different to how it is today. And some people may have wished that to be the case. They may have wished the council not to purchase Lord's Court, not to save the shop, but I am unapologetic that we did. Now, I am a bay from Bude. I'm not a Stratton man. But if you dig around in the census of 1891, I believe it is, you will find some of my ancestors were residents of Stratton. They were actually inmates in a particular place in Stratton, the Hillhead Workhouse. So that's my heritage. I come from the Hillhead Workhouse, ladies and gentlemen. And the heritage of this town, for me, is not Goldsworthy Gurney's big old house built on the sand. It's not even the lookout point that was modelled on the Temple of the Four Winds. It is as much the historic town of Stratton as anything else. And the historic town of Stratton has, as has been said tonight, been somewhat neglected. This council in previous iterations has had many large-scale imaginative projects. The Limelight project, which created the Council Heritage Centre. If we were doing that in today's money, it would dwarf the expenditure on Lord's Court. This building, converted from the old primary school, that would, in today's money, dwarf the expenditure on Lord's Court. And by the way, there's not very much sort of income coming in the way that there would be for Lord's Court with the flats above and so on. So I believe that this council owes a duty to the people of Stratton. I believe that it is all my adult life, I've been told that we should be supporting the local businesses that support our local communities. You know, don't worry about the big boys, support the local community, local businesses. All my adult life I've been told that we need affordable housing in this area. All my adult life, we have seen our towns and villages around Cornwall gutted by second homes and Airbnbs, and the character of our communities completely destroyed. Now, if you turn that telescope around, as I've said to councillors many times,
and you look at Lord's Court not as a liability, but as a huge potential asset, it's delivering. It's delivering for the community in Stratton, and it's delivering for the wider community in Bude-Stratton. So I believe that if the Land Trust is not able to come up with a viable business case, that this council should proceed to borrow the money, to refurbish the building, and to continue for the benefit of the communities in Bude and particularly in Stratton. Thank you.
So there's a few things that I have, and I'm probably addressing more the councillors than the people that are here. One of the things we did this evening was approve the recommendations to go forward with the skate park, and they've been waiting 10 years for that. And one of the demographics of this town that has been hugely neglected, and you know, I think we can all see it, is the young people. And this council, I believe, hasn't done enough for young people.
Agree.
So my concern is we put forward this recommendation for the skate park. If we were to go forward with this building, where does that leave the skate park? Because it's more than just money. It's more than just asking every single person that lives within Bude-Stratton to pay for this. And that's what we're asking, essentially. It's about our officers' time. It's about what else we can provide as a town council. The sheer number of hours that the staff have put into this so far is incredible. And we are a new council. We've been together nearly 6 months now. And we have huge visions and goals and ideas and, you know, things that we would love to do. Youth provision, you know, a new library, things that really could make a huge difference to a lot of people. And my concern is that these things will not be able to happen. These visions and goals that we have to build community and do things for young people, especially, but not just young people, for everybody, will be set aside. This will have to take over every single thing that this council does. And I do believe that because this council purchased it, we have a responsibility to make sure that something happens to protect the shop. I'm not saying that. I do believe that that is the case. And I think North Kernow, you know, Community Land Trust could be the answer. Do I think that we as a town council are the right people to manage a project such as this? Probably not. But I do think that there are people that are. And I would really hope that we as a council can look to these other organisations and put something in place so it is protected. But I don't think it should be us.
Yeah, obviously you're asking a question. And possibly this is advice for the rest of you as well. Whether you take it or not is up to you. We need to decide the how of whatever we do. All right? So we can all, I'm not criticising anybody, but we can all make a great speech. But at some point tonight, and it's 8:30 now, we have to discuss the nuts and the bolts of what decision we're going to make. You know, Kevin, you made the argument I thought you were going to. Nowhere in there did you address how we fund it. You know, you got 25% of the people that were asked. This is just to play devil's advocate. I'd put my money on them being the 25% of the poorest people in the community that said they don't want to pay anything more in their council tax. So that's a devil's advocate argument. This is an example of the nuts and bolts we now need to get into. Yeah, you want to keep it? How? What's your response to those 25% of the people at the very bottom of the economic pyramid here? I'm not asking you to answer this. I'm saying this so that as we go round, it'll be gone 9 o'clock by the time we finish otherwise. We've got to discuss what we want to do, but more importantly, how.
Mike, I think as you asked the question, I deserve the opportunity to answer it.
Briefly.
I believe that we should be taking out a loan for this money. We should be taking it out over the maximum possible period of 50 years. And if we did that, I do not believe that it would place an undue strain on the precept payers. Yes, there would be a small amount of additional precept, but in relation to all the other major projects that we have done, it would not be onerous from the people or indeed.
That would be your thing. I'm just going to come around. You did make a proposal, so you want to speak?
I'll have an opportunity to speak. Okay, I thought the two councillors at the end summed up both sides of the argument really quite well. And it would be easy to stand here and, like I say, make a grand speech and say, you know, it's such an important asset to Stratton, etc. Absolutely. Nobody's going to disagree with any of that. And nobody's going to disagree with the community need. I don't have a problem with that at all. However, what we've got to consider as a council is all of the other things that we're expected to do. This is not a singular issue that we're just going to do and then do nothing else. The truth is, at the moment, over the last few months, as a new council, we've been trying to work out what our vision strategy is going to be for the next 4 years. And this is worth considering as well. This council is only in place 4 years. The decision we make now may not be enacted in 4 years' time. You've got a new council who may want to go through this all again in exactly the same way as we are now with a decision that the previous council made 2.5 years ago. So when you want certainty, all you're going to get it for is every 4 years. That's a fact. That isn't going to change because that's how it works. We'll have a new group of councillors in 4 years' time are going to consider this in exactly the same way as we are because we have to. When you say we want to borrow money for 50 years or we want to borrow money for 10 years, somebody said we can't consider it for that long. We absolutely can. In fact, we have to because it's your money. We have to consider this in the round. We can't just say we're going to borrow this money for 50 years, job done. Right, if we borrow this money for 50 years, as was pointed out, if we want to do anything else, like redevelop the skate park, redevelop the library, redevelop another area, where are we getting the money from? Because we're already in it for 50 years for something else. The other thing that's worth bearing in mind, the money that we borrowed to convert the castle in 2017, we're still paying that back. The money we used to convert this place, we're still paying that back. Right, so this stuff that we're talking about is on top of the stuff we're already doing. Now, I don't expect you to care about that necessarily, over and above the fact that it is your money. And it is something that we have to consider in the round. We're just about next month to start to talk about our budget setting for the next year. Now, this has to be an important factor in that, of course it does. If we go along the proposal route as we have done, so it gives us 4 months, right, what that enables us to do is really carefully look at what our budget situation is. And that is our primary responsibility to you as a taxpayer. Our job is to manage the money and manage the risk. What I'm concerned about with this building is about the risk. It's fine to say we're borrowing the money for 50 years. We've no idea what's going to happen over the next 50 years to that building, but we're still going to be paying for it, no matter what. Because we don't know what the tenants are going to be in there are going to be like. We don't know if they're going to pay their rent. We don't know what the future of the shop is. As much as you keep saying, there's no guarantee. But one guarantee is if we borrow the money, we're going to have to pay it back. No matter what happens, we will have to pay it back. On top of everything else that we're trying to do. I hope you'd agree that as a council, we're actually quite progressive. We're always looking for opportunities to improve the environment, to improve the area in which we live. And that's all of it, including Stratton. We try and take the opportunities that we can to use the resources that we've got to make things better for our community. It's what we care about. It's why we got elected. We're the same as you. We live here the same as you do. We're paying the taxes the same as you do. We're not politicians. I'm not a politician, that's for certain. I don't belong to a party. Well, some might be, but I'm not. Okay, I'm not part of a political party. I never have been, and I'm not interested in it. What I'm interested in is what's best for the community of Bude-Stratton. I go to lots of meetings about loads of different stuff: transport, youth, send provision, education, right? And all of those things are in my head at the same time as I'm thinking about this, because all of those things matter as well. To those individuals, to that youth who doesn't have the opportunity to use the skate park in the way that they would like to, or they don't have access to further education, or they don't have access to transport, all of those things matter. And they're all important to us, because it's our kids, it's your kids, all being influenced by it. So when we make a decision like this, it's not a singular decision in its own right. It has to be considered in the wider context of everything else that we do. And I know it was said, but the officers' time in that is paramount. Because it's not just this. They're doing hundreds of other things at the same time. And there's stuff coming through the door all of the time. So I wish it was simple, but this conversation really does indicate the complexity of this stuff and what we're left to deal with. But I'm not asking for sympathy on that, that's why we got elected. What I'm really pleased about is that this council in particular has chosen to grasp this nettle. As it's been said, 2.5 years we've been waiting for a decision. It could have been done by the previous council and they kept kicking it down the road. So for this council, having only been in place for 6 months to really grasp this, and a difficult thing to do, whatever way it goes, should be commended for that. And the work that the officers have put in order to get us to a position where we have the ability to make an informed decision and listen to everybody in the room should also be commended as well. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I shall attempt to address you directly.
Okay.
So councils exist for a number of different purposes, and the sort of council that we can choose to do whatever we want within the powers of competence that we have adopted. So to enter into an idea or principle of owning property to benefit the community is something which is certainly within our remit, and I don't think it's that unusual. And I want to give you an example. I very recently visited Truro City Council. You would think Truro City Council would dwarf us, but of course, actually they don't, because we're quite a big council. We feature and we're nominated as a super council according to the size of our precinct, which is the largest in Cornwall. In fact, Truro City Council are only about 1 3/4 the size of, in terms of monetary terms, that we are. Yet they have taken on a massive old, I think it's a Georgian building in the city centre, which is going to cost them millions of pounds to do. And the bravery and ambition that they have compared to what we are looking at in terms of Lord's Court and what the benefits Lord's Court could give to our community is infinite compared to their ambition. And I think there are times when councils do need to deliver ambition and times when perhaps it's best not to deliver an ambition. And I think this is the case. And I'm quite surprised by some of the other councillors I did believe to be progressive and embracing of what the community needs to have taken the position that they have. I don't want us to find reasons not to do things. I want us to find reasons to support our community, and there has been a good turnout tonight of community asking us to support them. Just out of interest, and I don't think I'm going to be giving anything away that I shouldn't be giving away, but if you take the worst case, the highest cost surveyor's listing to repair the building and divide it over a 10-year public works loan board, that comes to an impact on the precept payable for a Bude-Stratton resident of £1 per month. That's the worst case. The best case scenario, so that's the lower cost of the repairs needed, and you spread that over a 50-year period, I can tell you is 5 pence. Not per year, no, sorry, not per month, but per year, 5 pence a year. So sometimes I wonder why we're getting ourselves so tangled up in this, because it seems to me like a no-brainer. I know that there is the argument of council resources, but I'm sure it's within our capabilities of finding the resources to run a project of this nature. I was really intrigued by what Mr. Westbrook told us, in that repairs are a very expensive way of just, I won't use the analogy that I was thinking of, but the repairs are just a way of getting something you've already got up to standard. That would be okay, but I think we could be more ambitious, and I think maybe looking at what the possibilities are of redeveloping that site would be a worthy idea. And certainly, as not advised by one of our councillors, having private individuals help and support some of our efforts is to be welcomed, and there's absolutely no reason why we can't bring people into the fold and use their services and expertise. And I'll give you an example. When we were doing the Compass Point project, Mark Trewin, who is a local surveyor, did a 3D survey, which took him quite some time, took him several days to do, of the structure both inside and out, which we used as part of our works. And that work was done by him pro bono, that's free of charge. So the precedent is already there. There's not a problem whatsoever in bringing people that are prepared to help and advise us on this journey. People said a vital community asset. And I think it was Mr. Ball that reminded me of my words, and I stand by every single one of them. I do believe for the people of Stratton, not only from the commercial premises, and I wanted to say something on that because there's been a lot of suggestion around the table and in the room tonight that the town council is somehow subsidising the shop. Well, it isn't. He pays a lease, which is set at a commercial rate. So there's nothing gifted to him at all there. It's a business transaction. If we manage to get the flats within the property refurbished and let, they would be relatively low-cost dwellings for people that would be able to live within the community. I cannot see what is not to love about that as a proposition. I absolutely believe that the Land Trust should be given every opportunity to come forward and to take the project if they would like to do so. But failing that, I think we should have no fear whatsoever in taking it on ourselves.
Absolutely.
You need to turn it on, Pete.
I thank the previous councillors for their comments. I do want to reiterate that the future of the shop is not really in jeopardy. Whoever owns this, and it is my opinion that this authority is not one that should be dealing with domestic rents. They can be a nightmare. They have been a nightmare for this council in the last 5 years, specifics. And those members that are here and experienced it will know exactly what I mean. It has been the staff to deal with it. Early hours is just not appropriate for a council this size to be dealing with domestic property. I fully support what everyone said about the shop, and Dave does pay his rent and everything like that, so there's no problem there. But it's just, if it was just a shop, it would be absolutely no problem. But it's because it's integral with the flats, and it does cause trouble. Just interestingly, Councillor Boyd mentioned the repayments and stuff. I mean, 50 years. £1.6 million, that's what it would cost over 50 years if it's a high value repairs. And I think the figure that he quoted, 5 pence a year, is not quite correct. It's significantly more than that, but it's not 5 pence a year. Anyway, pass on, Mr. Jones.
That 5 pence per year is what's listed in the document wrong.
Right. Well, I've spoken with a lot of people around here. They can't believe it was bought in the first place. They can't believe the mess we're in with it. And the only thing we can do is to sell it. Because if not, it's going to be a millstone around the necks of you for a long time to come.
Don't forget Stratton. Stratton as well.
Yeah, well, everyone.
They wanted people to be.
We're all in it together.
Oh, we're in it together, are we? Oh, all right. There's nobody out there that voted for me, but there's a hell of a lot of people in Bude that voted for me, and they say no.
You voted for me as well.
Hey?
You voted for me as well.
Right, that's.
I'm not going to give a huge speech. I'm torn two ways on this. There's the side of me that says financially and taking on the renovation of the property is a huge undertaking. There's the other side of me that says, I've seen how busy the shop can be. I was in Stratton the other day walking the dogs while my husband had a hospital appointment. And I went past the shop several times and it was very busy and there was quite a stream of people going through. yeah, I am torn two ways with this, and I really hope the Land Trust could pull it together, because I think that's the best shot.
I won't take too long because I've probably said it quite a lot already. But first, I have to take issue with my colleague, Councillor Gibbs. When I came back on this council in June 23, I think it was, since I came back, I've been trying to, sort this out and do what I can to address the issue. And we haven't got a business case, but we can't divulge you. But we had a briefer version that was presented to us 11 months ago, with a recommendation from a working group which out a card to borrow and refurbish. The council instead chose to explore the option of the toilets for the shop, which was, well, it hasn't worked out, let's say, but some of us have been trying to address this diligently for the last 2 years. So I just want to make that point. But where we are now, we have made a decision to engage with the Community Land Trust, and I think we've got to give that every possible opportunity. And like I said, I'll repeat what I said earlier, which is I'm disappointed it came so late. But however, it is there. And I think we've got to do everything, this council has got to do everything possible to help that and hopefully come up with a viable plan. And the only thing else I was going to say was that I think, that having engaged with the residents of Stratton, and it's been mentioned here already that there's, expertise in certain areas, I think we need to tap into that. And I think that the council, I would like to see us set up a working group which would include, a working group can include non-councillors. So I would be hopeful that we could set up a working group that would help you guys and to take this forward, because it would, in a lot of ways, it would take the burden off. And I fully appreciate the concerns of councillors who are concerned about the financial burden on the council taxpayers of Bude-Stratton. And this will take the burden off you. I live in Stratton, so I'm not a council taxpayer in Bude-Stratton, but
you live in Mountchurch, Tom.
I live in yes, yeah. Sorry. I'm not. Yes, so I'm really hoping that we can push this, and yeah.
Yeah,
thank you.
No worries. Thought I'd help out there.
Thanks, Tom.
I thought I'd help you out at the end.
Yes, good.
I really hope that the Land Trust issue goes forward, and I would sense that there'd be a volunteer with some expertise to help that process forward. I imagine those talks will go on. But we also have to look at what happens if that doesn't go full term. I hope it does, but we need to be rational about that. A number of people have said to me that they are worried about precedent setting, that if the council does something in one area, how beholden it is to do similar work in other areas as well. And I just caution that I'm going to come at this from a very business-like attitude in my view, because that's my background. I've heard very much about some of the background to the initial decision. I wasn't around at that time. I do note that times are hard for a lot of people in this town, in these towns, and I worry about what level of precept we will have to be setting anyway, just to maintain what is already committed to. Are we prepared, are people prepared to have an additional amount put onto the precept should we decide to refurbish Lord's Court rather than sell it? I do note that 25% of the respondents to the survey said that they wouldn't want to pay anything. And inevitably that survey will be heavily Stratton weighted because that is just the natural order of things. And I do question how much we can expect council taxpayers to increase the precept by. Is this a core business for the council? I don't believe it is a core business for the council to actually be the landlord for a property such as Lord's Court. Other people will take different views, and that's entirely right and fair. I believe that every councillor has a duty to take rational decisions to discharge our requisite duties. And in my opinion, and I realise I'll be unpopular with many, is that the rational decision in this case is, if the land trust issue doesn't go full term, is to sell the property. The shop will carry on. We shouldn't just concentrate on the shop issue. That will carry on. We should aim to discharge rationally our duties to the people of Bude and Stratton.
Yes, I went to have a look around Lord's Court earlier last week, and it reminded me very much of looking at my home when we first saw it. Other people might have seen damp patches and a bit of a mess, but we saw a huge opportunity. And we now have a lovely house. It's not perfect, but I feel the same could be done for Lord's Court. I agree with councillors Colwell and De Broy in that a 50-year loan looks to me, although I'm not financially expert, it looks to me that it could be pretty much cost neutral. Meanwhile, the property is increasing in value over the last 50 years. I read a lot. Everybody here has put a lot of work into reading about all of the past minutes. I wasn't here 2.5 years ago. I've gone through 2.5 years worth of minutes. Everybody has worked extremely hard. I've read a lot about operational risk. I've read a lot about financial risk, but I think there's also reputational risk for the council that we need to consider. Thank you.
I'm a mathematician, and I think I can assure you that if a 50-year loan is taken out, with the way we see the value of things going up, you will end up making money. So my first choice would be to make a major loan. Yeah. My second choice would be possibly to see what we could do if we sold it to another group. Thank you.
I won't be very short. I just wanted to show you something I can do to try and make this project happen. Basically, as soon as we've got it, I don't see it really too technical. I think on the background, and when I had a look around, it was just another old base of Stratton that can be done up. But how we do that, obviously we've still got to do some checks as well, pretty much with the most things that Pete said. You know, owe it to the people of Stratton to give it a go because we've got it.
I am sorry to say that I am actually going to probably take up a bit of time in my conversation.
Right, on that, we're going to have to vote to extend the meeting.
I am
We can't legally go beyond 9.
What time is it?
So 5 to 9, so I can either do the vote now and then you speak, or if you think you can get it done in before 9, we'll do you. Then
I think I can get it done before 9. Okay. So I'm only 21 years old. For reference, I got co-opted onto this council. However, I do want to make a remark on Jennings' statement. about how the people of Stratton necessarily didn't vote him in. His duty is to both towns whether they voted for him or not. To represent this entire population, whether you support or not my ideologies, I would hope that I could do something for you. Now, I lived in Stratton pretty much my whole life, aside from the time that I was at university, which I just finished. And I remember going to that shop quite often, and it was a lovely place, and I felt it was vital to that community. I don't think of it simply as just a business. I think of it more as a public service to everyone around here. And I would say that from my experience in this audience, the public want us to bring around the cycle of protecting that and making sure that we can create an output where we are all engaging with each other to help us grow together as a community, rather than limiting ourselves and saying what we cannot do. I might be considered a dreamer, but I am going to follow the advice of this mathematician who's talked about the 50-year loan, as well as the research that has been done, that in terms of the costs, it can be handled and we can still achieve the other projects that mean so much to both Bude and Stratton and Bothell.
Right, we're going to have to extend the meeting.
Propose you extend for a maximum of 15 minutes.
I'll second that. All in favour? Against? You're allowed to vote on this.
Don't matter.
Against? Abstain? Right, we're extending 15 minutes.
Got a pen? Got a pen?
Mike, are you going to speak?
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about a proposal. Or have you got one?
That's binary, isn't it? One of you, isn't it? You vote against it.
That's right, I got 17 now. Yeah, I find myself very much in the same position as Vicky, in that I am torn. Financially, I grew up poor. I am poor. I've struggled to live. I've struggled to feed myself. Where is Swallow Close now? That used to be a garage. Some of you will remember it. When that was knocked down, me and about 12 of my mates lived in it for a good 18 months. A couple of the windows weren't even in the building at the time. So, as has been alluded to by other people, when you talk about £5 a month, me at 19, £5 was a lifetime, a living. So there's that. On the flip side, there is the community benefit of it. And that's why I said, before we went around the table, the discussion had to be the how. Who pays? How do they pay? How much do they pay if we want to keep it? On the flip side, if we're going to sell it, what are the criteria there? And,
when you put it on the market, you'll never know.
There's been a lot of great speeches, I'm not going to lie, but I feel like in kind of like 40 minutes, we haven't got any closer to how. And that's problematic for me. We got a proposal through, but I don't feel any wiser now than I did when your proposal ended and I asked us to discuss how do we do whatever it is we're going to do. And we got 15 minutes now. We can extend again, obviously, but, we need to get into the nuts and bolts of it. You're a mathematician, great. Run us the math.
Set up a working group. I can go on that. I've never been invited to join one of your working groups. That's odd.
Why didn't you just apply to join one?
Didn't know they were part of this.
I now, but Kevin.
I agree that we are not nearer the how, in the sense of the people who want to sell the shop or sell the building but keep the shop. It's not really clear in my mind.
I don't think anybody's.
Some people have said that it is impossible for a new owner of that building to effectively get rid of the shop, while the last owner of the building before us managed to put in an eviction order. So I think if we agree today that if the land trust doesn't come through, we will sell it, we're going to find it very hard to secure the future of the shop. But I think it is clear. I think Councillor LeBroy has made it clear, and Councillor Richards has made it clear, that if we were to borrow the money over a term of 50 years, it would not be particularly onerous on the precept payers of Bude-Stratton, and we would be able to do the other projects that this council is keen to do. So I dispute that it is not clear from the point of view of those of us who would wish to keep the shop should the land trust not be able to come through. But I do agree it is very unclear from the point of view of those people who wish to divest this council of the shop.
I think the gentleman from the committee, do you want to?
Go on then.
I still want to say to the council that if we can't come up with a plan, we're more than happy to help you do the same thing that we might be able to do. If we can work with the registered provider and get grants, you can work with the registered provider and get grants.
No, can we look at 4?
Yeah, we can't apply for grants.
You can't get grants, but the registered provider can.
Would that work?
Let the registered provider work.
Yeah.
You don't have to borrow all the money.
But no, obviously not.
Can I just suggest that, I know I'm repeating myself, but perhaps we need to throw everything at working with the land trust to try and bring a solution, to reach a solution before we tie ourselves to a decision, a decision that will be in the event of. So I think it would be more, personally I feel it would be more responsible to give this every possible chance, and then other things may well come up in the meantime. And I don't think we should be making a decision that would, best case scenario, wouldn't even be enacted for 4 months. I think we should.
You want to kick the can down the road, Tom?
No, I don't, and that's something I.
Sorry, he sent me an email saying we mustn't do that the other day. I'm just having a little private joke with him.
Yes, thank you.
Because he's now proposing to do exactly what he told me not to.
No,
it's fine.
It's been approved.
And then I'll come to Peter. I'm only playing with you, Tom.
I am terribly sorry, but I am going to have to disagree with that notion of throwing everything at the charity trust. Nothing against them as a whole. I personally voted against the notion of putting them as the primary before we make any decisions of our own, simply because I do think that we as a council should be responsible of providing things for this town, and rather than deferring it to charities to do all the hard work, I think you guys voted us in to do a job to provide services for you, and I feel like we should be the ones doing it rather than making others do it for us. Mm-hmm. That's why I voted against that, and that's why I wouldn't support what's being suggested.
Yeah, but the council voted for it. You might have voted against, but the council voted for. Yeah. So you have to abide by the decision.
But I would say that it would require a second vote, wouldn't it? If we're saying that we're going to throw everything into.
What Tom's saying now. Right, please. Online, they're probably picking up several different mics here at the moment. Just to clarify, because you knew, when a decision is made, say this finishes 7-6 tonight, we walk out that door, vicarious liability kicks in. Every single one of us has to own that decision, whether we agree with it or not. Okay, so if you lose a vote, it's a council policy, we're all councillors, bang, we're all responsible, we all get behind it. That's how it's meant to work, all right?
It does seem like a separate decision, and that's why I'm questioning that.
When was this decision?
Well, the suggestion that was made about saying that maybe we should throw everything.
Yeah, because that's what the council approved, that we engage with the land trust. So I think we've got to have confidence in our own decision. And if we decide to go a route, then we have an obligation to make sure that works, if possible.
Yeah, we've already.
I might be misunderstanding this. I'm just.
I think slightly wires crossed. I think we've already decided to give them 4 months to come back to us. We are now all responsible for that.
I see what you mean. I don't think so.
Kevin again. Oh, Katie, sorry. I'll do the running.
Good man.
I'm up there.
Good fit.
So I do think that the North Kernow Community Land Trust are the best people to take this on. They've got the experience, they've got the knowledge, they've got the background, they've got the support. We as a council are not set up to do any of those things. And so, Councillor LeBroy said that I'm sure we can find some way of being able to manage this project. Well, the only way I can see is employing a new member of staff to solely take on this project, which means even more money that we would have to spend, because those officers do not have the time for this, and they don't also have, and I don't mean any offence by this, but they are not landlords and they do not have that background. So unless you're going to invest in training for officers or a new member of staff, you just don't have the capacity, in my opinion. There is another option, and it's going to be controversial, because I do desperately understand the importance of the shop, and I really want to find a way to save the shop. Is that somehow we support the people of Stratton to purchase the shop from us and have it as
the shop's not ours to sell. The building, right? Yeah. Okay.
The whole building.
Yeah.
That we somehow work with the people of Stratton, and it becomes something that they own. It becomes your property, your building. You can do what you want with it. That is an option.
Well,
can I just briefly address that?
Very quickly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that have been discussed with Stratton residents in informal meetings. I agree with you. Which is,
sorry.
Come to me?
Tom was going to address that, I think.
Yeah, I more or less have. In the engagement meetings with residents of Stratton, that issue has come up of Stratton residents forming a CIC. Is that something that a CIC and you yourselves could work together?
That's what we do. We would buy it for the people of Stratton. That's the same thing.
So I think there's several options here. So
I might just go with the whole area.
Yeah, no, but there are several possibilities here. So I'd rather, it's just my personal view, I'd rather not see the council tie itself to something now that may be detrimental to progress over the next 4 months.
It might well be. You want to go?
I think so.
I'll take the count down the room. Very convincing, Peter. It's not your usual vim.
Our only decision for 4 months.
Yeah. You've got 5 minutes before I need to extend.
Right, okay, I'll make it as quick as I can. Reality for me is that when you say we need to get deep into the weeds of how we're going to finance this and work it out, we're never going to do that tonight. It's not possible. There's no way that we could ever give due diligence to the decisions that need to be made, because there's a whole number and raft of decisions that need to come for us. But there is a binary choice, in as much as do the council want to keep the building and do it up, and then manage the future. And I think that the time has come. We've had debate and comment from the public, we've had debate from around the table. It's time to test the council. I believe that in the event that the optimal solution in my mind is for the land trust to take it on, but in the event that they can't find a way through, that we ourselves actually take that responsibility, borrow the money, do it up and find a way of managing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be overly onerous on our council staff, because you're talking about 3 domestic units, which we could easily work with a registered provider to let on our behalf, probably not very much cost. And we've got the commercial unit where we have got a proven relationship with a reasonably decent tenant who the community really like. So I'm going to make a proposal, and it's very, very simple. And the proposal is, in the event that the land trust doesn't provide a credible business plan, that we retain and manage the property in-house. And that's somewhat akin to option 3 in our private report. But the in-house management has some sort of debate on it, because we might not be managing the tenants ourselves, but would be managing the property ourselves. So do you understand the intent?
I understand the intent. I'd probably struggle to go there with you, even though I kind of agree with the intent, because I'm financially low risk. I don't commit to massive things without understanding the minutiae. And that's why I've asked for the how.
That's a proposal.
All right, yeah, proposal. But Tony had his hand up, so I'm going to Tony.
Councillor Cole has seconded. In case you
can second it when I get to him, yes.
Just to finish this off, I suppose, really for me, I came tonight because I wanted a decision, right? That everybody knew exactly where we stand as a council and how it is that we were going to support Stratton, wanted a decision so we could move on. Okay, what we've got is we're sort of halfway there, I think. The idea that we're going to work with the Housing Trust in order to develop a plan, I think is a decision. I'm pleased that we've made that decision, because what it's done is enabled us to move forward, which is something that we've not been able to do for a considerable period of time. What I would also say is that we have all learnt a lot in the last 6 months. By doing the work that we've done to construct the business case that we have and have the conversations we have had, we've all learnt something. I guarantee it. I've learnt a lot. I'm no specialist and I'm no business expert, but I've learnt a lot, as we all have. I think there was an opportunity here to learn a lot more over the next 4 months. I think by engaging and having the conversations appropriately, it will enable us to learn more. Now, it may, in the end, well, in 4 months' time, we're going to have to make a decision one way or the other. I don't think now's the time to do it now, even though I did want to initially, but having listened to everything I have and understood it all now, I believe that the decision that we've made to engage with North Kernow Housing Trust and then come back in 4 months' time, knowing what we know then, which is not what we know now, will give us an opportunity to make a final decision one way or the other. And I don't believe, my concern is that I don't think we're in a position to be able to say right now that if we can't, if whatever happens with North Kernow Housing Trust, that we are then committed to do something. Because the truth is we're going to learn more over the next 4 months, and we're not going to be able to do that until we know it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like I said, I've got a Hail Mary in mind, but I'm not going to ping it now.
So we need to extend again.
Sorry, we need to extend again. I propose we extend by 15 minutes.
I'll second.
All in favour? Okay, Kevin.
We are what we are. We have agreed to give the North Kernow Land Trust 4 months to come up with a business plan. And I believe that we do need tonight to establish what would happen if that was not a credible business plan. And it is, as Councillor Roy put it, a binary choice of keep or sell. We all hope North Cornwall can produce a business plan that is credible and we can go with it. But if they don't, we might as well make the decision tonight rather than kick it further down the road and leave the community of Stratton and the tenant of the shop in more uncertainty. So I believe that the initial gut feeling of Councillor Gibb, we do need to create a degree of finality tonight, is the right one. And I am happy to second Councillor LeBroy's resolution.
Okay. Well, right, you two both quickly, because you dragged out the second in so long, you both put your hands up. If you got there first, we'd be voting. You, then we're voting.
Councillor Gibbs has just spoken. I fully agree with him. I mean, I would like a decision tonight, that's probably what you would. I'd just take issue with my colleague over at Rance. He did say we'd represent all people, and that is true. But my colleague next to me, Mr. Jennings, we are here to represent the silent majority. And whilst it's nice to see so many people here, most probably from Stratton, there are an awful lot of people in Bude who have said, well, you know, we don't see why Hoffel lost its post office, why should, you know, blah, blah, blah. And the post office is not in jeopardy, as I've said before. But now there's a proposal and it's been seconded on the table. I shall be voting against it purely for the reasons that Councillor Gibbs has said. We need to know more before we come to the decision. That's why I should be voting against it. Right.
I've yet to work out why we spend all this money having this report done and we're just ignoring it. Anybody with half an ounce of sense would read that and think, shit, I'm not touching that with a barge pole.
I could answer that for you.
Well, answer it.
Yeah. Political expediency.
That don't mean nothing to me.
Everybody else probably got it, but
well,
yeah.
There you go. But what was the point of having all this done? It's bloody awful reading.
Careful.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it is. It's awful reading.
It is.
Nobody in their right mind would touch it with a barge pole. Stevie Wonder would take one look at this place and walk away.
Oh, gosh. Right. Careful. All right. Yeah. All right. We're going to move to a vote.
Wants to put motion, please. I haven't spoken on that motion.
Okay. Yeah.
And very briefly, even though Councillor Gibbs and Councillor Moores over the several months have possibly we've not been on the same page sometimes, and with apologies to Councillor LeBroy, I'm inclined to, I will have to, in conscience, vote against your proposal on the basis that there will not be a proposal, a counter proposal to sell it now or in 4 months' time. So I'm sorry, Councillor LeBroy, I'm going to have to vote against you.
Yeah, I think it's reasonable. Everybody voting against it is voting against it because, yeah, for very similar reasons. Right, we have a proposal on the table. Does everybody understand it?
No. No.
Magic. Okay.
Shall I read it, Mark?
Yeah, go on. I'm running out of voice.
Okay, so it is proposed that in the event that Kerner Housing does not...
Hang on, can you just speak up a bit? Sorry, because I didn't
Stand up. Won't be any taller. Hello. So it is proposed that in the event that Kerner Housing does not submit a credible business plan, that BSTC continue the management and undertake development of the building. Is that near enough, Peter?
Yeah.
Okay. No.
All right, so yeah, we're voting to take out a loan, repair it, if they don't do it. Do you understand?
I do. Yeah. I understand.
Everybody understands? Okay, all in favour? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Guys. Okay, 6. Against? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Abstaining?
1.
Right. Sorry. It did not go through. Right. No, I'm going to play now. We aren't going to get a decision tonight. Guarantee if we vote to sell now, the result's going to come out exactly the same. There will be no decision. and we're going to go round and round in circles. So, despite what I said about the start about everybody needing a decision tonight, what you threw in to the matrix has pretty much changed the game. As Councillor O'Sullivan said, if we'd had a little bit more warning, we might not even be having this conversation. You know? So with that in mind, I'm going to propose that we stick with the give them 4 months, end of, and we come back to it if it doesn't fail, and we do everything we can in our power to ensure that it doesn't fail. So.
We don't need to propose that.
It's just on the table.
No, we don't.
That is what we're going to do, isn't it?
We don't need, I'm just going to go meet and close. No, it's not actually. Sorry. Not anything, it's a report. Oh.
Over the page.
Date of the next meeting.
I'm sure we can set up a working group.
Or for December.
A working group to include members of the public. Yeah. You want to
agreed to do that, so we'll just do it.
Go on, quickly.
Very quickly, I'd like to propose that the council establishes a working group to liaise with the housing trust and to progress this. And I would also like to propose that that working group be open to members of the public who have expertise and could contribute. If you have, if this proposal goes through, could you give your names to the town clerk, please?
Seconded. All in favour? I'm waving the hammer around, sorry. All in favour?
Too late now.
Against? Abstain? Done. Now we're closed. Thank you all for coming.